Chapter 1694. After listening to Luo Yuandao's subordinates, and then looking at the soul strength image in the crystal, Knight Sorrow was stunned. Because he recognized the image in the crystal ball. It was the Black Dragon Princess of the Devil Blood Domain who cultivated the dragon language. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor, Nyoibo Studio. The details were as follows. It was a cultivation ground in the empty space between the Shadow Manor and the Sky Peak sect. She was cultivating the dragon language there when she was bullied by the people of the Celestial sect. She only refuted a few words before she was taken away by an emperor of the Celestial sect. Knight Sorrow's face was very ugly. He didn't have a deep personal relationship with the dragon language, but she was still from the primal chaos domain and had helped him a lot in the realm war. He couldn't just watch the dragon language fall into trouble. Who was the emperor who took her away? Knight Sorrow asked. Replying to Night Lord, that person is the Thousand Return Emperor of the Celestial Sect and the City Lord of the Thousand Return region, Luo Yuandao's man said. Knight Sorrow, what do you plan to do? Since this person can call out your name, she should be a very important person, right? Tell me, what do you need me to help you with? Luo Yuandao said. He spoke to Knight Sorrow more casually and didn't mention anything like Night Lord or this Lord. Patriarch Luo, do you have a map of the Thousand Return region? Give me one, I'll save him, said Yishang. Even though they weren't very close, he couldn't ignore Luo Feng. Luo Yuandao's right hand touched the storage ring on his left hand and took out a map and handed it to Knight Sorrow. This doesn't count. What else do you need? Thank you, Lord Luo. If you come forward, you will represent the ethereal dynasty. I am different. I will go first. Knight Sorrow took the map and went to the transmission array. Luo Yuandao paced back and forth a few times, then left the Night Moon Villa and went straight to the City Lord's mansion. Arriving at the exquisite glazed pagoda in the City Lord's mansion, Luo Yuandao bowed slightly. The door of the tower opened and Luo Yuandao entered. He bowed to Lin Piaomiao, who had her back to him, and reported this matter. That's the border of your Shadow Manor. Push the Shadow Army to the border. Informed Songning to bring the Songning Army over as well. Be prepared to fight at any time. See if it's appropriate to provide support to Knight Sorrow. Lin Piaomiao gave a series of orders. After receiving the order, Luo Yuandao left the Linglong Pagoda to make arrangements. He was the executor of some of the City Lord's orders, so he had the authority to issue some orders. However, regarding the war, he had to seek the Ethereal Battle Emperor's opinion. After leaving the Twinkle Gem Pagoda, Luo Yuandao found Song Ning and informed him of the Ethereal Battle Emperor's orders. Hearing this, Song Ning, who had a strong desire for battle, immediately pulled the three armies of the Songning army to the border. Against the Celestial sect, the Misty Dynasty didn't need to make any preparations. They could just send out their armies and fight. That's a lot of effort. Do you think Ling Daoshu will dare to refuse? Song Ning said to Luo Yuandao, whose clone was at the border camp. He doesn't dare to refuse. The problem is that Yi Shang is the one who made the decision. His character and character are there for all to see. He doesn't want to owe anyone, including our Misty Dynasty. Luo Yuandao said. That bastard is like that. However, the Thousand Revolutions Emperor shouldn't be his opponent. Song Ning wasn't very worried. He has strong principles. Although he's an overlord, he's actually more important than some palace lords in the eyes of the Battle Emperor. Luo Yuandao said with a smile. Elder Luo also thinks so. Song Ning turned to look at Luo Yuandao. Song Ning, your words have the word also, which means you also think so. When Lin Qixing became an overlord, he was already an emperor and had many connections. Lin Qixing also made a lot of contributions to the Misty Dynasty. Knight Sorrow became an overlord when he was a pseudo-emperor. To put it bluntly, he had value when he was a pseudo-emperor. Then, he became an emperor and gave half of the Eastern Hao region to the Misty Dynasty. Now, who dares to hurt him? The consequences are very serious. Luo Yuandao explained his analysis. I didn't think too much about it. I just feel that he does things well. Among the 7 palace lords, only Yang Tianlai has some conflicts with him. Han Zhenyue and Jiang Tianheng have an ordinary relationship with him. As for the rest of us, shouldn't we all help him when he needs help? No one can just stand by and watch, right? I know that Lin Qixing shamelessly asked him for a VIP card for the Twilight Tea House. Tsang Ning said. You talked behind his back. Luo Yuandao turned to look at Lin Qixing, who walked out of the teleportation array. Palace Lord Song, it's not good to talk behind people's backs, right? Lin Qixing glanced at Tsang Ning. Talk behind people's backs? What's wrong with calling you shamelessly in front of your face? Tsang Ning repeated. Stop fooling around. What's the situation now? Night Sorrow is strong, but he's too young. Don't get cheated. Lin Qixing changed the topic. He couldn't do anything if Tsang Ning scolded him. Besides, he was also worried about Night Sorrow. You should be more worried about Ling Qianhui. That woman isn't injured, so it's not a big problem. If she is, then it's a big problem. Tsang Ning said. Soon after, Wu Feng also came. He knew that there was a problem with Night Sorrow and naturally came over. Night Sorrow took the teleportation array to the nearest city to Thousand Return City. He then flew out of Thousand Return City. He set up a teleportation array and embedded a teleportation crystal in the disk. He went near the city walls and checked the weak spots of the patrols. Night Sorrow's body flashed and entered the city. As they advanced through the city, Night Sorrow's soul force probed the area to the maximum. He wanted to find Draconic's whereabouts. The dragon language wasn't in the city lord's mansion. Night Sorrow also didn't find the dragon language in the vicinity of the city lord's mansion. Yi Shan was a bit anxious. He found a hidden corner and knocked out a patrol. Then, he brought him into the dragon cauldron and interrogated him. He learned that the Thousand Return Emperor had another residence. It was north of Thousand Return City. At this moment, in the main hall of the Thousand Return Emperor's residence, the dragon language in a blue dress had her cultivation sealed and was tied to a large pillar. It's no use even if you know Night Sorrow. There should be many people who know him. The key is whether he knows you or not. I've captured you for 4 days, but no one came to save you, right? I want to refine the dragon blood pill. I have to say, your entire body is a treasure. The Thousand Return Emperor said to the dragon language with a cold aura. Do as you wish. Maybe he doesn't have the strength to fight against you now, but you will definitely pay the price in the future. Being captured by you, I accept my fate. Long Yu stared at the Qianhui Emperor, his eyes filled with killing intent. If you're cultivating in human form, I can keep you and have an heir with the bloodline of dragons. That's not bad. Unfortunately, you're in human form and your true form is still a dragon. I can only regret it. However, I can use a secret method to raise the energy in your body to the Emperor level. I can refine the dragon blood pill and dragon bone pill. Although it can't raise my cultivation, it can infinitely increase my battle strength. So just accept your bad luck. Ling Qianhui looked at the dragon language with a strong possessive gaze. You dare talk nonsense about the bloodline of dragons? Haha. The dragon language laughed. The dragon language said. Here's the second update. Chapter 1695. Equals V Yong D Geo Free RM Read F Novels N, is it funny? What's the situation now? I'm the knife and you're the meat on my chopping block. I'll use your body to refine pills and watch you struggle. The effect will be good. Seeing dragon language laughing, Thousand Return got angry for no reason. It's funny. You're the Thousand Return Emperor, right? I'm sure you'll pay the price. There was no fear on Long Yu's face, but there was regret in her eyes. She had been captured with her true body, which had comprehended the realm. Unfortunately, her clone was exploring in a spatial world. Now, even if she wanted to rush back to ask for help, it was too late, and there was no place to ask for help. She knew that Yi Shang was the lord of the Misty Dynasty, but she didn't know that Yi Shang had entered the Imperial Realm. At this time, Knight Sorrow was near Thousand Return Mansion. Using his soul force to investigate the situation, he was a bit annoyed. Refining a living body was very cruel and was also a taboo. Almost no alchemist would do this, because if others found out, they would become public enemies. Thousand Return Emperor Ling Qianhui dared to do it because capturing dragon language was a secret. Besides, no one would know that he was refining pills with a living body. Ling Qianhui took out his alchemy cauldron. Bear with it for a while. I still have to extract your dragon tendons and bones. Then I'll refine the dragon blood pill. The more resentment you have in your heart, the stronger the soul power in the dragon blood pill. 2-star Emperor. Yi Shang detected Ling Qianhui's cultivation. Yi Shang's soul power was strong, and with the help of the 9 regions origin bead, he could detect Ling Qianhui. However, he was still outside the range of Ling Qianhui's soul power. Since you're cruel, don't blame me for being cruel. Knight Sorrow took a deep breath and waved his space splitter spear, piercing through space. He then entered the 8-dragon cauldron and entered the spatial turbulence, approaching the Thousand Return residence. Normally speaking, it was very difficult to approach a 9th-stage Monarch Realm cultivator without being noticed. Monarch Realm cultivators had strong soul energy and could cover a large area. However, Knight Sorrow was proficient in the spacetime attribute and was good at surviving in spatial turbulence. Therefore, he could avoid this problem. Knight Sorrow snuck into Qian Hui's mansion and slowly approached the main hall. There was only a spatial barrier between Qian Hui and the dragon language. At this time, Ling Qianhui stretched his hand towards the back of the dragon language's neck. He wanted to extract the dragon language's backbone and tendons. How could Knight Sorrow allow Ling Qianhui to succeed? The space-splitting spear pierced through the spatial barrier and arrived in the real world. The spacetime domain burst forth with suppression, and then the destructive true dragon chant was unleashed. Ling Qianhui's expression changed as he was about to extract the tendons and bones from the dragon language's neck. He didn't know what was going on with this sudden attack. Ling Qianhui's soul energy was shaken, resisting the destructive true dragon chant's influence on his soul energy. He withdrew his right hand and took out his weapon, releasing his gravity domain and great earth space. At the same time, his weapon faced Knight Sorrow's space-splitting spear. Following a muffled sound, Ling Qianhui was repelled by Knight Sorrow's spear. There was a difference in the amount of Jin Qi between the two, but Knight Sorrow's physical strength was stronger. After repelling Ling Qianhui, Knight Sorrow used his left hand as a blade and cut off the chains binding the dragon language. Then, he clenched his wrist and sent a stream of energy into the dragon language's dantian, dispersing the energy sealing Ling Qianhui's dantian. Without energy to protect the dragon language, it was very weak and could be easily injured. After resolving the crisis of the dragon language, Knight Sorrow's body flickered and charged towards Ling Qianhui. At this moment, Knight Sorrow was in a rage. Ling Qianhui was too cruel to the dragon language. If he came a little later, even if it was just half a cup of tea's time, the dragon language would have suffered irreparable damage. Knight Sorrow used the destructive true dragon chant and 3 soul destruction crescent moon blades towards Ling Qianhui's head. After detecting that Ling Qianhui's soul had solidified, Knight Sorrow knew that this was Ling Qianhui's true body. Now, he wanted to kill him because the dragon language said that it was related to him. Since Ling Qianhui was so ruthless, there was no need to be polite. At this moment, there was a halo above Ling Qianhui's head. It was a soul defense magic treasure, but the light was very weak. In the world domain, soul defense magic treasures were extremely rare. However, in the celestial realm, there were still many of them. Some cultivators who didn't have any soul defense magic treasures would pay a huge price to get a heavenly master or emperor preceptor to refine a soul defense magic treasure. However, the defensive effect wasn't necessarily good. The key was the strength of the user's soul power. Knight Sorrow's destructive true dragon chant was effective. The soul destruction crescent moon blades broke through Ling Qianhui's soul defense magic treasure and cut into his spirit sea. When his spirit sea was attacked, Ling Qianhui had to use his soul power to suppress it. The strength that he could display was greatly reduced. He barely managed to block Knight Sorrow's attack with his sword. However, his body was sent flying. Scum, you must die today. Knight Sorrow used the void steps to catch up with Ling Qianhui. The space splitter spear vibrated again as he executed the void origin strike. Ling Qianhui couldn't even speak. His cultivation level was obviously higher than Knight Sorrow's. However, because his soul power wasn't strong enough, he was in a passive state. He didn't even have the strength to retaliate. However, he still managed to crush a messaging crystal. As Knight Sorrow's void origin strike converged, Ling Qianhui's weapon was destroyed. Knight Sorrow's space splitter spear pierced Ling Qianhui's chest. Ling Qianhui's shoulder armor released radiance to protect his entire body. Emperor Realm cultivators had deep foundations. Ling Qianhui had both soul defense magic treasures and body armor. However, because his soul was attacked, his qi couldn't display its might. Without qi, the armor's defensive power wouldn't be enough. Ling Qianhui's shoulder armor was directly shattered by Knight Sorrow's space splitter spear. His body was sent flying again. You still want to use a living body to concoct pills? Today, I will cripple you first. Knight Sorrow's body flashed and caught up with Ling Qianhui. He executed the space splitter spear and followed up with the void origin strike. At this moment, Ling Qianhui's internal organs were injured by Knight Sorrow's attack. His qi circulation couldn't keep up and he didn't have a weapon to defend himself. He could only punch out. Knight Sorrow's space splitter spear's purple radiance exploded. It directly destroyed Ling Qianhui's right fist. After which, it pierced through Ling Qianhui's chest and pierced through his body. Knight Sorrow, I want him alive. Dragon language shouted. Yi Shan, who had originally intended to destroy Ling Qianhui's dantian, stopped the space splitter spear's downward cut. It only shook for a moment. Then, his left hand shot out energy to seal Ling Qianhui's dantian, whose soul was still in a daze from the attack. His left hand punched Ling Qianhui's temple, knocking him unconscious. Then, he threw him into the 8-dragon cauldron. Dragon language, are you alright? Knight Sorrow looked at dragon language and asked. You came just in time. If you came a little later, I would have been skinned alive. Dragon language's complexion wasn't very good. Just now, he had suffered a lot. The pressure in his heart was extremely great. He has a clone and he even crushed the messaging crystal. We don't have much time. We have to leave quickly. Can you enter my spatial treasure? Knight Sorrow looked at dragon language and asked. If you didn't come, I would have lost my life. Why can't I enter your spatial treasure? Dragon language nodded. Knight Sorrow kept the non-resisting dragon language into his spatial treasure. Then, he used his soul force to investigate Ling Qianhui's mansion. After which, he searched for anything valuable. Chapter 1696. Sorry, you're late. Knight Sorrow muttered. He activated the teleportation disc and left the 1,000 return residents, arriving at the teleportation array outside the city. After dismantling the teleportation array, Knight Sorrow flew towards the nearest city. When he arrived at the nearest city, Yi Shan changed his attire and entered the city. When he saw the tense atmosphere in the city, he knew that the matter of him attacking Ling Qianhui had been discovered and reported to the other cities. However, the teleportation array was not closed. Knight Sorrow entered the teleportation array and began to teleport. After teleporting many times, Knight Sorrow returned to the Misty Dynasty's territory. He was safe now. Knight Sorrow did not know about the Misty Dynasty's arrangements. He directly returned to the Misty Dynasty's imperial city and went to the Night Moon Villa. When he arrived at the Night Moon Villa, Knight Sorrow brought out the dragon language and Ling Qianhui. Although they were both in the 8-dragon cauldron, the dragon language had been recovering and did not bother Ling Qianhui. Ling Qianhui woke up, but his condition wasn't good. Because Knight Sorrow had attacked both his soul and body, the damage was still very great. Dragon Language nodded to Datura and greeted him. He went to Ling Qianhui and took off his storage ring, throwing it to Night Sorrow. Can you arrange a place for me to stay? Sure, Aluo, you arrange it. Night Sorrow nodded to Datura. Seeing that Night Sorrow had returned safely, Datura was very happy. He took Ling Qianhui's Dragon Language and went to arrange it. You're very fast. Not long after you went out, you caught an Emperor Realm expert. Lin Xian Air appeared. I am very fast. Where's Old Song? I have to go to the City Lord's residence and catch an Emperor Realm cultivator from the Celestial Sect. This is not a small matter. They will come looking for me. Night Sorrow said. What are you afraid of? I think this matter is a matter of face in the eyes of the Battle Emperor. Would the Celestial Sect still dare to attack us? Lin Xian said with a smile. But it's still a close call. Night Sorrow felt that it was inappropriate. Don't think too much about it. If the Celestial Sect wants to find you and negotiate with you, they can't let the Misty Dynasty off. They won't dare to act recklessly. Besides, the Celestial Sect has a bad relationship with the Misty Dynasty. Otherwise, Zhang Ning and the others wouldn't have taken over a territory of 80 million miles, Lin Xian said. When Night Sorrow returned, Zhang Ning knew about it. Her original body had come to Night Moon Villa. Night Sorrow, you're amazing. You're a 1-star monarch, but you managed to capture a 2-star monarch just by going out. How domineering. I'll report this to Lord Battle Emperor. Before Night Sorrow could say anything, Zhang Ning left. An hour later, Zhang Ning returned to the Night Moon Manor. Boss Zhang, what did the Battle Emperor say? Night Sorrow asked. He said that you can do whatever you want. If you want to kill him, then kill him. When Ling Qianhui captured him, your friend mentioned your name, but the other party insisted on doing it. That means he didn't give you any face. He didn't give our Misty Dynasty's lord any face. There's no need to be polite. Since he dared to come to the Misty Dynasty, Lord Battle Emperor will deal with him, Zhang Ning said. Yeah, I don't plan on letting him live. Even if Long Yu doesn't kill him, I will kill him. Killing intent appeared on Yishang's face. He couldn't accept the fact that he had to pull out the tendons and dig out the bones to concoct pills alive. You can kill him? Dragon Language appeared. You can kill him. You can vent your anger however you want. Night Sorrow nodded. If you were late by a few breaths, he would have pulled out my bones. I'll let him have a taste of it. Dragon Language nodded to Night Sorrow and left to deal with Ling Qianhui. Dragon Language hated Ling Qianhui, but if it wasn't for Night Sorrow, she would have just tortured him. She was afraid of causing trouble for Night Sorrow. When she came to the Celestial Realm, she did the same as Night Sorrow. She was clear about the situation in the Celestial Sect. She was worried that if she rashly killed Ling Qianhui, it would bring trouble to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to clean up the mess. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Dragon Language was confident. She could do whatever she wanted. Night Moon Villa, miserable screams could be heard from time to time. That was Dragon Language using torture to deal with Ling Qianhui. After patrolling Lin High Street, Ghost Monkey, who had nothing to do, found Dragon Language. He helped Dragon Language think of a way to deal with Ling Qianhui. At this moment, in the main hall of the Celestial Sect, the upper echelons were all sitting together. They were clear about the situation. Ling Qianhui was also in the main hall, but it was just a clone. Sect Master, save me. I can't hold on for long. Ling Qianhui bowed deeply to Ling Daoxiu. He wanted to live because if his main body was destroyed, his future would be gone. When you captured him, he called for Night Sorrow. That means he's Night Sorrow's friend. Don't you know what kind of person Night Sorrow is? He's a mad dog. Don't you know how badly Donghao Mountain was bitten? The World Edge Pavilion took out a city and Saint Spirit stones as compensation. Don't you know? Ling Daoxiu roared. Ling Daoxiu knew about Night Sorrow's reputation. With the protection of the ethereal empire and his own power, no one would want to mess with Night Sorrow. Ling Qianhui was beaten up by Night Sorrow, and he was in the wrong. Ling Daoxiu didn't know how to deal with this. Currently, the conflict between the Celestial Sect and the Ethereal Empire was quite serious. They had just seized 80 million miles of territory. 80 million miles of territory was nothing to the Celestial Sect. It wasn't even 1/10 of the territory. However, the Ethereal Empire's attitude was very clear. If you did something wrong, they would beat you. They wouldn't give you any face. That's a lone dragon. Ling Qianhui said. Do you have the ability to take it down? Ling Daoxiu was furious. The upper echelons of the Celestial Sect were discussing how to deal with this, but Ling Qianhui didn't dare to say anything. The final result was that Ling Daoxiu went to negotiate with Night Sorrow. If it didn't work out, he would go to the Ethereal Battle Emperor and ask for a favor. The Celestial Sect couldn't give up a 2-star monarch expert. Moreover, he was a member of the Ling family. If possible, Ling Daoxiu really didn't want to go to the Ethereal Empire because he would definitely lose face. No one would be nice to him. Night Moon Manor was filled with miserable screams. The dragon language used all kinds of torture on Ling Qianhui. Ling Qianhui was a monarch expert and wouldn't die so easily. The ghost monkey also had a hobby of torturing people. He gave the dragon language a lot of bad ideas. Night Sorrow didn't care about this. Luo Yuandao and Lin Qixing still led the Ethereal Empire's army to the border. Cao Ning and Wufeng stayed in Night Sorrow's residence because everyone knew that the Celestial Sect wouldn't give up on Ling Qianhui. If Ling Qianhui died, the Celestial Sect would either fight or endure. However, the dragon language didn't kill him directly and even left him with a breath. This made the Celestial Sect have to deal with him even if they didn't want to. Ling Daoxiu arrived at the Ethereal Imperial City. After registering with the Teleportation Array Guard, he came to Night Moon Manor. Chapter 1697. No matter who it was or how famous they were, Night Sorrow had no intention of talking to them. Ling Qianhui was already a dead man in his eyes. Hearing Ji Dao's refusal, Ling Daoxiu was infuriated because he clearly saw that Night Sorrow was fine. He also saw Ling Qianhui's condition. His dantian was shattered, and his cultivation was destroyed. His legs were charred black, and there was a destructive aura lingering around them. There was also poison. It was an irreparable injury. However, even though he was angry, Ling Daoxiu didn't have any thoughts of barging in because there were 2 monarchs' auras in the mansion. They were Wufeng and Cao Ning. He wouldn't be able to do anything if he went in, and he couldn't bear the consequences. After thinking about it, Ling Daoxiu knew that he couldn't do it with Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow said he didn't have time, which meant that he wouldn't give him any face. Ling Daoxiu arrived at the city lord's mansion and handed over the visiting card. The one who received him was Elder Lan. Elder Lan reported to the Ethereal Battle Emperor, who gave him the same reply as Night Sorrow. She didn't even call herself Night Sorrow. She just said I don't have time. This was because Lin Xian'er knew Night Sorrow's reply to Ling Daoxiu. After hearing the reply, Ling Daoxiu didn't move for a long time. He wasn't an idiot and thought of something. The Ethereal Battle Emperor already knew about his request to see Night Sorrow, and she also knew about Night Sorrow's attitude and reply. Ling Daoxiu left the city lord's mansion. After thinking for a while, he found a tea house and sat down. Although he had lost face, he couldn't give up on saving Ling Qianhui. Even if his cultivation was destroyed, he still had to save him. As long as his main body was alive, there was a chance of recovery. After thinking about it, Ling Daoxiu felt that he still had to find Night Sorrow. From the Ethereal Battle Emperor's attitude, she respected Night Sorrow's opinion. After Ling Daoxiu left, Night Sorrow went to Dragon Language's residence. At this moment, Dragon Language and Ghost Monkey were still attacking Ling Qianhui with all their might. Night Sorrow, you'll die a horrible death. Ling Qianhui looked at Night Sorrow and roared. You scolded our young master, I'll pull out your remaining teeth first. Hearing Ling Qianhui scold Yi Shang, Ghost Monkey was unhappy. He was now addressing Yi Shang as young master, just like Hong Yi and Lan Ning. Ghost Monkey, you can take your time to deal with this later. Ling Qianhui, karma doesn't feel good. Back then, Long Yu said that it was related to me, but you didn't give me any face. Naturally, I won't give you any face. Back then, you said that Long Yu was a fish on the chopping block and you were the knife. Long Yu said that you had to pay the price, but you didn't believe me. Was all. Hee hee. I don't mind telling you something. Even half of celestial sex territory is not as important as our life. Dragon language, avoid unnecessary trouble and prevent the other party from having the illusion of getting him back. I don't want to see him for 3 days. Night Sorrow said to Dragon language. Okay. Dragon language nodded. She was excited, but her face was calm. She understood what Night Sorrow was giving up in order to kill Ling Qianhui. It was an expensive ransom. After staying in Night Moon Villa for the past few days, Dragon language knew that anyone who wanted to negotiate with Night Sorrow would have to pay a huge price. However, for the sake of her, Dragon language, Night Sorrow gave up on negotiations and gave up on asking for resources. You lowly spawn, to think that your sect master would come personally. You're quite valuable, but it's a pity that our young master wants to kill you. Miss Long, we're going to have to be ruthless. We don't have much time left. Okay. Dragon language took the whip in Ghost Monkey's hand. It was a steel whip with barbs. Hearing that Night Sorrow wanted to kill him, Ling Qianhui was anxious. His clone in Celestial Sex headquarters found Ling Daoshu's original body and told him about this. Ling Daoshu waved his hand and dismissed Ling Qianhui. He was full of anger now. Because Ethereal Battle Emperor didn't give him face, he could accept it because he wasn't on the same level as Ethereal Battle Emperor. But what about Night Sorrow? He, Ling Daoshu, wasn't on the same level as Ethereal Battle Emperor. Night Sorrow wasn't on the same level as him either. However, Night Sorrow didn't give him any face and directly said that he didn't have time. After thinking for a while, Ling Daoshu felt that Night Sorrow was pressuring him through Ling Qianhui and wouldn't really want Ling Qianhui's life. After all, Ling Qianhui had offended Night Sorrow, a friend. It couldn't be compared to a huge amount of resources. After waiting for 2 days, Ling Daoshu once again came to Night Moon Villa to seek an audience. Someone wanted to visit Night Moon Villa. The first obstacle was Ji Dao. The pavilion at the Night Moon Villa's entrance was his. The small martial arts arena was also his. When someone came to visit, the servants would inform him first. In Night Moon Villa, there were no guards at the entrance, only servants. No time. Again, Night Sorrow didn't want to see Ling Daoshu, and Ling Daoshu didn't dare to fight his way in. Therefore, Night Sorrow was very confident. After receiving Night Sorrow's reply, Ling Daoshu's anger soared to the sky. However, he forcefully suppressed it. He already understood that Night Sorrow wasn't playing hard to get. Night Sorrow really wanted to kill Ling Qianhui. Lord Night, there's nothing that can't be resolved. We have to sit down and talk. Ling Daoshu directly used his true qi to transmit a message. After Night Sorrow heard Ling Daoshu's transmission, he stopped practicing his spear. He tossed the air splitter spear behind his back and arrived at Dragon Language's residence. Young master. Ghost Monkey looked at Night Sorrow. Dragon Language, come with me. Night Sorrow called out to Dragon Language. He carried the already deformed Ling Qianhui and walked towards the entrance of Night Moon Villa. Sister Xian Air, what is this guy doing? Is he going to hand him over? Tsang Ning, who was drinking tea with Lin Xian Air, saw Night Sorrow's actions and asked in astonishment. Impossible. The most likely thing is that he wants to kill Ling Qianhui in front of Ling Daoshu. Let's go take a look. Ling Daoshu shouldn't act out of desperation. Lin Xian Air stood up and walked towards the entrance of Night Moon Villa. She knew that this matter would come to an end after Ling Daoshu's 2 requests for an audience. Night Sorrow carried the dead Ling Qianhui back to the entrance of Night Moon Villa. Emperor Daoshu, right? Do you know what he did? You want to hand him over? Night Sorrow looked at Ling Daoshu and threw out a sentence when they arrived at the entrance of Night Moon Villa. No matter what, he's from the Celestial Sect. We have to talk. Ling Daoshu opened his mouth and said. If he's from the Celestial Sect, then he wants to refine pills alive. Is the Celestial Sect behind this matter? You just have to tell me, do you admit to this matter? Night Sorrow's eyes were filled with a sharp gaze. Update L plus new, T most, fastest V on, it's hard to say what's going on. I'll go back and deal with it. Ling Daoshu didn't dare to risk universal condemnation and admit to refining pills alive because it was too serious. Chapter 1698. Night Sorrow, don't you dare. Ling Daoshu was enraged. His aura rippled in all directions. Night Sorrow. Dragon Language looked at Night Sorrow. She knew that the matter had reached a critical juncture. If Ling Qianhui was killed, Star Moon Lake and Celestial Sect would become enemies. Don't be so wishy-washy. Night Sorrow pulled out the Space Splitter Spear with his right hand and swung it. The Space Splitter Spear pierced through the air, closing the distance of 20 feet in an instant. The Space Splitter Spear pierced through the center of Ling Qianhui's brows, nailing his body to a huge boulder at the entrance of the Yeyue Mountain Villa. Do you think I dare or not? Night Sorrow looked at Ling Daoshu. Not only did he use his words, but he also used his actions to prove whether he dared or not. You deserve to die. Ling Daoshu pointed at Night Sorrow. Due to his extreme anger, his finger was trembling. Saying that I deserve to die? Are you declaring war on me, Night Sorrow? Very well, since you dared to touch my people, Night Sorrow, then I'll see how much stronger your Celestial Sect is compared to Eastern Hao Mountain. Night Sorrow extended his right hand and took the Space Splitter Spear that nailed Ling Qianhui. Ling Daoshu, you're declaring war on the Lord of my Misty Dynasty, right? Tsang Ning narrowed his eyes and looked at Ling Daoshu. I have no intention of declaring war. Manor Lord Tsang, you've misunderstood. Night Sorrow, this is a personal grudge between us. If you're a man, then don't involve others. Ling Daoshu looked at Night Sorrow. He really didn't dare to declare war. And here I thought you were confident enough to do so. If you want to declare war, then you'll have to swallow your words. There's no future for you. How do you want to play? I'll accept it. Night Sorrow turned and walked back into the mansion. He didn't say anything else to Ling Daoshu. Lin Xian Air and Song Ning followed behind Night Sorrow. Dragon Language noticed that Ling Qianhui's pierced head was glowing. She grabbed Ling Qianhui's soul defense treasure with her right hand and put it away. We don't want the corpse. With that, Dragon Language also returned to the Night Moon Villa. Ling Daoshu retrieved Ling Qian's corpse and left. He felt extremely stifled in his heart. Watching his junior being killed with his own eyes without being able to do anything was quite a blow to him. Night Sorrow returned to his residence and brewed a pot of tea. It was as if he wasn't the one who had just killed someone in front of Ling Daoshu. Night Sorrow, did I cause you trouble? Dragon Language looked at Night Sorrow and asked in a low voice. No. Night Sorrow shook his head. But the Sky Peak sect already bears a grudge against you. The Dragon Language was filled with guilt again. Then let me say something. The reason I, Night Sorrow, came to the Celestial Realm was to first break the shackles of the Primal Chaos Realm being unable to produce an emperor. Second, after becoming an emperor, to solve the problem of the evil dragon poison flame in my Ant Phase body. Third, to see how powerful the Sky Peak sect is. Night Sorrow took a sip of tea and said. Night Sorrow, do you have a grudge with the Sky Peak sect? Lin Xian Air asked. Yes, the Sky Peak sect almost destroyed one of our worlds. Later, the main culprit ran away and ran to the Celestial Realm. They received orders from the Celestial Realm Sky Peak sect. Night Sorrow said. So that's how it is. What are they trying to do by plundering the origin energy of a world with billions of lives? Lin Xian frowned. She didn't know much about this matter. However, through Night Sorrow's words, she understood why Night Sorrow wanted to kill. Grudge, because the grudge was deep. Making someone lose their place of survival was like cutting off their path to survival. This was an irreconcilable enmity. With this kind of enmity, no one would be merciful. No wonder your killing intent was so heavy today. However, it's nothing much. He didn't even dare to declare war, Tsang Ning said with a smile. In fact, Lin Xian wasn't the only one who was puzzled. She also didn't understand. Normally, Night Sorrow wouldn't be so radical and kill someone in front of Ling Daoxiu. Dragon language, don't go out without you for the next few days. Just stay here. If they can't figure it out, they might take it out on you. Night Sorrow reminded Dragon language. I'll follow you from now on. I won't run away. Dragon language said. All right. You can rest assured and stay here. You came with me, so we'll stay together. Night Sorrow nodded at Dragon language. Night Sorrow knew very well that the Sky Peak sect wouldn't let this matter go. It could be said that they had become mortal enemies. However, he didn't care. Why original unspecified currency version? Why first? Carrot, ha. Night Sorrow, do you know that if you're willing to make a deal, the Sky Peak sect will bleed a lot this time? For a 2-star emperor, they can give you dozens of cities and tens of millions of Saint Spirit stones. Tsang Ning said. Sometimes, resources aren't as important as venting. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Dragon language, who was listening on the side, was shocked. At this moment, she understood what Night Sorrow had given up for her. After the incident, everything quieted down. However, the news still spread. Even if Night Sorrow didn't say it, many people in Qianhui City knew about it. Such a big matter couldn't be hidden from them. Night Sorrow's name once again entered everyone's ears. A 1-star emperor had captured a 2-star emperor and killed him in front of the Sky Peak sect master. This was something that others couldn't do and didn't dare to do. While they admired him, they were also worried that Night Sorrow would cause big trouble. The Misty Dynasty protected the Moon and Star Lake, but a force like the Sky Peak sect had many ways to deal with Night Sorrow. Tsang Ning and Lin Xian were drinking tea alone in the attic of the Night Moon Villa. Sister Xian, don't mind him. Night Sorrow's temper is like this. He won't compromise with the Sky Peak sect. Tsang Ning said. What's there to mind? This is a good thing. So what if he offended the Sky Peak sect? Even if we didn't have a personal relationship, from his point of view, half of the Donghao mountain in exchange for protection should be worth something, right? Lin Xian said with a smile. It's good that you don't mind. Tsang Ning said. You think too much. Night Sorrow isn't just your friend, he's also my friend. You don't have to take responsibility for anything. Lin Xian looked at Tsang Ning and said. However, an even more shocking news spread. Night Sorrow of the Misty Dynasty had taken in a pure-blooded black dragon. Lin Xian found Night Sorrow and said, I've been worried about this problem. The problem still came. This news isn't good. Sister Xian, tell me. Night Sorrow didn't understand. It's fine if you take in other races of dragons, but not black dragons. Black dragons and the human race are sworn enemies. Black dragons once attacked our Tianhuang city. It's troublesome to have a member of the pure-blooded black dragon in our territory, even if it's not a threat. Lin Xian said. Sister Xian, dragon language came from the chaotic realm with me. There's no racial grudge. Night Sorrow said with a frown. Gossip is a fearful thing. You have to know that some things can't be done just because you say so. Even the War Emperor can't deal with this matter because the ones who ask about it might be the human race's sect elder. Lin Xian said. Sister Xian, what do we do now? Night Sorrow didn't know how to deal with it. Hide, but the human race's sect elders' methods are terrifying. It's not that easy to hide. Lin Xian said. Chapter 1699. It's useless. You don't understand the methods of the elders of the human race. Besides, even if you hide the dragon language, you will still be in trouble. Do you think you can escape from being labeled a traitor of the human race? Lin Xian said. A traitor of the human race? I am the deluxe merit great sage and will soon become the deluxe merit heavenly monarch. Will they label me as a traitor of the human race? Night Sorrow stood up, a little agitated. I'm just guessing. The dragon language must be hidden in a place where others can't find it. Even if they find it, they can't go to it. Let nature take its course for the rest, Lin Xian said. I'll hide the dragon language first. We'll talk about the rest later. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't expect the situation to be so serious. Make some backup plans. A man without foresight will have immediate troubles. Lin Xian said. As the ethereal battle empress, Lin Xianer did not only have influence in the ethereal empire, but this matter involved the human race, so the problem was not easy to deal with. The last time the Black Dragon race attacked the Heavenly Desolation City, it had caused a lot of damage to the human race, and some of the human race's elders had even fallen, so the problem involving the Black Dragon race was very serious. Night Sorrow found the dragon language and told her about the current problem. Night Sorrow, I've caused trouble for you this time. Dragon language said apologetically. Now that things have come to this, it's meaningless to think about how to avoid it. How about this? Go back to the primal chaos realm and cultivate. Don't come back without my notice. Aluo, go and send them off. Also, when you reach the Star Moon Lake, get the key people to teleport back. Then, take out the teleportation crystal of the teleportation formation and bring it to me. Night Sorrow said to Datura. Night Sorrow, I won't be able to enter the Emperor realm if I return to the Primal Chaos realm. It wasn't easy for me to reach my current realm. I plan to travel around. I don't have a fixed place to stay, so it won't be easy for others to catch me. I have some secret talents. Dragon language thought for a moment and said. She was now a half-step emperor, which was her reward after entering the celestial realm. I can't decide where you go or your future, but you have to know that the divination skills of the celestial realm experts are powerful. You should be prepared for some things. Night Sorrow said. I understand. Dragons. Dragon language said. That's fine. This is an illusion array disk. You can stay in it for a long time. Just activate it once and it can isolate the outside environment. Even if the other party divines your whereabouts, they won't be able to determine your location. Here are 1,000,000 Saint Spirit stones. Take it. This is all I can do for you. Night Sorrow took out a storage ring and handed it to Dragon language. Night Sorrow, I will remember your kindness. If I can reach the Emperor realm, I will come back to find you and help you solve the problem of the dragon's blood. Dragon language didn't pretend to be pretentious. She took the storage ring and cupped her hands at Night Sorrow before leaving the Night Moon Villa. Then, do we still need to take out the teleportation crystal of the Star Moon Lake? Datura asked Night Sorrow. Dragon language hasn't returned to the primal chaos realm yet. We won't need it for now. Night Sorrow said. While Night Sorrow was thinking about this problem, Tsang Ning came to tell Night Sorrow that the ethereal battle emperor would open up the evil Punisher land for them in 3 days. Night Sorrow was stunned. He didn't expect it to be so soon. The last time they said it would be 3 years later. Now, it was brought forward by so much. However, this was a good thing. Night Sorrow immediately told Lin Xian to prepare. In fact, this was Lin Xian's decision. Ghost Wings was an opportunity for her. At the same time, she also wanted Night Sorrow to lie low for a while. The dragon language was a serious matter. It was so serious that she couldn't take it head on. Night Sorrow, this matter is serious. You should go in with your original body. Even if something happens, you can lie low for a while. Lin Xian looked at Night Sorrow and said, My original body's nihility domain is progressing very quickly. Now that I've lost contact with my doppelganger, should be in a state of enlightenment. My doppelganger can also confirm the location of the evil Punisher land. Night Sorrow said. Looking at Night Sorrow, Lin Xian didn't say anything else. This was Night Sorrow's decision. After 3 days of preparation, Night Sorrow was about to set off. Even the ethereal Battle Emperor had arrived at the Night Moon Villa. Boss Tsang, if anyone finds trouble with me, tell them to wait. I'll be back in 3 months. Don't hurt the innocent. Night Sorrow said to Tsang Ning, who was still in the Night Moon Villa. Don't worry about that. Whether it's the Star Moon Lake or the Night Moon Villa, they are all under my protection. No matter who it is, they can't act recklessly. However, you have to be careful when it comes to the Black Dragons. Ethereal Battle Emperor said. Hearing Ethereal Battle Emperor's words, Night Sorrow was relieved. This was what he was most worried about. After that, Night Sorrow, Datura, and Lin Xian were led to the evil Punisher Gate by the Ethereal Battle Emperor. Following the activation of the sealing array, Night Sorrow and the other two entered the evil Punisher land. Night Sorrow sensed the location of the evil Punisher land's source. After confirming the direction, he began to move forward. The Ethereal Battle Emperor returned to the City Lord's mansion and made some arrangements. She arranged for Night Sorrow to enter the evil Punisher land because it wasn't convenient for her to fall out with some people. She was also one of those people. She was almost certain that things wouldn't end so easily. The reason why Ling Daoxu released this news was because he also knew some things. He knew that releasing news related to the Black Dragons would bring trouble to Night Sorrow. The Black Dragons had appeared in human territory, so they had to deal with it. Anyone related to the Black Dragons would be implicated. Lord Battle Emperor, is this matter very serious? Tsang Ning asked. It's very serious. The natural enemy of our human race is the Demon-Winged Clan. After the last battle between the human race and the Demon-Winged Clan, the Black Dragons took action and completely stood against the human race. This caused the Azure Dragons and the Black Dragons to draw a clear line between themselves. The Demon-Winged Clan is not only the enemy of us humans, but also the dragons and other races. It can be said that the Black Dragons are the enemy of our 100 Races Alliance. Night Sorrow has a connection with the Black Dragons this time, so the Alliance will definitely investigate. It's just a matter of time. Lin Ethereal Battle Emperor said. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios, maybe the news hasn't reached them yet. Tsang Ning said. You're thinking too simply. The Celestial Sect has someone in the 100 Races Alliance. He's the sworn brother of the Celestial Emperor, so the news will definitely reach them. The result is obvious. Capturing the dragon language is certain. As for how Night Sorrow will be dealt with, I can't say. Lin Ethereal Battle Emperor said. Lord Battle Emperor, then Night Sorrow should run. Luo Yuandao said. He was also anxious for Night Sorrow. We'll see. After all, Night Sorrow is the deluxe merit Grand Sage. No one can just make empty promises and pin a crime on him. Lin Ethereal Battle Emperor said. Chapter 1700. Lin Piaomiao had a few considerations for bringing forward the time of entering the evil Punisher land. One was to let Night Sorrow avoid the limelight for a while, the other was to let Night Sorrow increase his power of virtue. Within the land of evil execution, Yishang's group of 3 flew quickly, arriving at the location of the teleportation array he had reserved. Yishang embedded another realm teleportation crystal into the teleportation array, then split the crystal into 2 parts and placed them into the teleportation array discs, handing one each to Mandela and Lin Xian. If there's time, I'll have to refine some more teleportation array discs. Then, the 3 of them flew towards the location that Night Sorrow had sensed. Night Sorrow, don't be in a hurry. If there are evil spirits, we still have to kill them. Accumulating resources and accumulating luck at the same time will only be beneficial to us. We have a lot of time, so there's no need to rush. Lin Xian said to Night Sorrow. With Lin Xian's words, the three of them headed towards the source of the evil Punisher land amidst the slaughter. As long as they saw evil spirits, they would kill them. At this moment, in a world filled with a violent aura, a modeled ancient city sat in the middle. Compared to other cities in the celestial realm, the ancient city was much smaller in scale. However, if one were to take a closer look, they would discover that it was different from other cities. This ancient city was situated on the sea, on a bridge that extended out of the sea. The city was surrounded by rusty iron chains that extended deep into the sea, securing the city. The black whirlwinds produced by the sea constantly attacked the city, but the tall and majestic city walls that were the same color as the iron chains kept these violent whirlwinds outside the city. The city was very quiet, without any noise that other cities would have. However, groups of soldiers walked back and forth, bringing a somber atmosphere to the city. The tallest buildings in the city were the 5 ancient pagodas. The one in the middle was slightly taller than the ones beside it. At this moment, on one of the levels of the ancient pagodas, there were a few old men sitting. Elder Gu, have you received the message? Members of the Black Dragons have appeared in your human territory. An old man wearing a robe filled with various kinds of herbs said. I've received the message. This matter needs to be investigated. The man called Elder Gu carried a long sword on his back, his face cold and valiant. It's already difficult for our 100 Races Alliance to fight against the demon-winged race. If there are internal problems, there will be endless troubles. The red-robed old man sitting in the middle said. Bring him back and erase all connections with him, a man in a white robe said. Bai Qiuyuan, how can you say this in front of Lin Piao? It's not to be too murderous. Gu Qi, we all know how much harm the Black Dragon clan brought to us last time. I didn't say what would happen to the ethereal dynasty. I only said that everything related to the Black Dragon clan should be wiped out. Go. Elder Gu, go with Elder Bai. The human race must be stabilized and unstable factors must be dealt with. I believe Commander Lin will cooperate. The red-robed man sitting in the main seat made his decision. Night Sorrow, Lin Xian, and Datura were hunting evil spirits, but their progress was not slow. Lin Xian did not do much as she did not need his help. Night Sorrow's combat strength was vastly different from the last time he came. He could be said to be advancing unstoppably, and nothing could stop him. How many Emperor Realm evil spirits were there in the evil Punisher land? Not many. Even if they developed well, there were not many Heaven Monarch Realm evil spirits, let alone Emperor Realm evil spirits. How could they stop Night Sorrow? The world origin is moving, but it's not fast. After another battle, Night Sorrow spoke of his feelings. Is it moving naturally, or is there something that can sense us and evade us? Lin Xian asked. It's not moving fast, and it's not moving in the opposite direction. It's moving naturally, and I can feel that it's different from the last time. Night Sorrow said. Could it be that when Gue Zhu's soul was here last time, his magic treasure Ghost Wings was together with the world's origin, and Gue Zhu controlled the Ghost Wings to move with the world's origin? Mandela voiced her thoughts. It's completely possible. The world origin is moving very fast this time, but it's not that ridiculous. Night Sorrow nodded. Yi Shan and the others continued forward. They killed as many evil spirits as they could. As for evil spirits with bodies, Yi Shan needed to use his spear to kill them. As for evil spirits without bodies, they couldn't withstand the vibrations of Yi Shan's space-time domain. A single vibration was enough to shatter and annihilate these evil spirits. Your domain is really domineering. If your other attributes enter the Emperor Realm and your domain fuses, then your domain will be domineering. Your domain is now a level 2 domain. Lin Xian said. What does a level 2 domain mean? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. It's very simple. A domain of a single attribute is a level 1 domain, and a domain of 2 attributes is a level 2 domain. Lin Xian explained the differences between domains to Night Sorrow. The higher the level of the domain, the more powerful it is? Night Sorrow looked at Lin Xian and asked. According to normal circumstances, this is the case. However, everyone's aptitude and talent are different, so the power of the domain is different. The Wind-Fire domain is a level 2 domain, but it has no advantage against the time domain or space domain. If it's a sovereign attribute domain, then it's different. However, no matter what attribute the domain is, it's necessary for cultivators to raise the level of their domain. Cultivators in the Emperor realm work hard to perfect their domain, but after entering the Emperor realm, it's impossible to raise the level of one's cultivation for countless years. Thank you, Sister Xian, for clearing my doubts. Night Sorrow seemed to understand a little. There are some things that I won't avoid. Because you came from a domain, your starting point is a little low. There are some things and some cultivation paths that you have to explore on your own. This may be the biggest reason for slowing down your cultivation speed. Take it slow. The top cultivators in the celestial realm also explored step by step. Lin Xian said. I know, people walk on their own paths. The first person to walk on his or her own path. Night Sorrow said. Yes, it's good that you have such a way of thinking. You may face many difficulties in the early stages, but after you walk out of it, it's fundamentally different from cultivating step by step. Lin Xian admired Night Sorrow's mentality. Sister Xian can you tell us more about Tianhuang City? Datura asked. Yes, I can. Some people in the celestial realm know about it. You know about the celestial and demon rankings. The top few on the celestial and demon rankings are all members of Tianhuang City. So is the War Emperor Lin Piaomiao. Lin Xian said. Then she should be a core figure of Tianhuang City, right? Night Sorrow asked. _Z_ most I square root new asterisk I chapter? Chapter 1701. Does that mean that the core of the Tianhuang City could be a member of the previous celestial demon list? Night Sorrow asked in surprise. It should be a member of the previous celestial demon list. Lin Xian nodded. Rank 8 immortal, are there many experts in the Tianhuang City? Datura's eyes were full of shock. No, why is there such a thing as reincarnation, epoch, and small epoch? Because at this time, there will be a heavenly tribulation. Every 10 billion years is the Emperor Tribulation, and every 100 billion years is the Emperor Tribulation. A reincarnation tribulation is called the God Annihilation Tribulation. There are many experts on the celestial demon list, and they are the overlords in the world of cultivators, but they are powerless in the face of the heavenly tribulation. There is an emperor tomb in the Tianhuang City, and all the people buried there are supreme giants. No matter how powerful you are, when the tribulation comes, you will be insignificant. The emperor tomb appears, and the emperor tomb falls. This is a popular saying among high-level cultivators. Lin Xian sighed. Seeing that Night Sorrow and Datura were puzzled, Lin Xian explained in detail. Lightning tribulation, wind tribulation, and fire tribulation were all manifestations of the heavenly tribulation. But when it came to the epic tribulation, the tribulation was an energy body with heaven-defying combat power. This energy body appeared to kill supreme giants, so it was called the immortal tomb by the cultivators of the celestial realm. Can't get through it? Night Sorrow looked at Lin Xian. There are those who can. Didn't the experts from the previous celestial demon list survive it? But that is a small tribulation, and every 10 billion years is a tribulation. After one tribulation, there will be 2 more, each more overbearing than the last. Finally, there will be the 9 heavenly tribulations, and then the Emperor Tribulation of 100 billion years. Why is it said that cultivators are fighting against the heavens? It is because of the existence of this tribulation. Lin Xian said with a smile. Isn't this fatal? Datura sighed. What you said is too accurate. It's a matter of life and death. Misty Battle Emperor is still young. Regardless of his strength, he is still part of the younger generation in Tianhuang City. The only ones who can make decisions in Tianhuang City are the patriarchs of the human race and the leaders of the other races, Lin Xianer said. In fact, there were not many people who knew Tianhuang City better than she did. Elder Sister Xian, you know so much. Night Sorrow looked at Lin Xian. He felt that this was not something a rogue cultivator like Lin Xian should know. Night Sorrow, everyone has their own privacy. Sister Xian may have concealed her origins from you, so please don't mind her, Lin Xian said as she looked at Night Sorrow. I don't mind. What's there to mind? But, I'm now thinking that Elder Sister Xian's background must be astonishing. Let's set off. Night Sorrow did not continue speaking, because Lin Xianer's words had already made it clear. It's good that you don't mind. No matter what happens in the future, we will always be friends. Lin Xianer smiled. She was very happy that Night Sorrow didn't mind. That's right. Elder Sister Xianer has a great background. I have a big thigh to rely on, Night Sorrow said. Shameless, thick-skinned. Datura scolded with a smile. As they advanced and fought, Night Sorrow's cultivation gradually stabilized. Moreover, during the battle, he studied the direction to improve his combat strength. Night Sorrow integrated his power of virtue into the space-time domain. The originally somewhat hazy space-time domain was filled with a vast golden light, and it was filled with a soul-stirring righteous aura. This is your advantage. When your body of virtue enters the 9th stage Emperor realm, there will be a qualitative change in your domain. This is your advantage. Even emperors can't help but envy you, Lin Xianer said. As they advanced and fought, Night Sorrow perfected the integration of his power of virtue and the space-time domain. As they advanced, Night Sorrow collected more and more flames of life. Night Sorrow even killed a few 1-star and 2-star Emperor realm evil spirits. Night Sorrow wanted to collect more, but there weren't many high-level evil spirits in the evil Punisher land. Original version, care of. As time passed, Night Sorrow and the other two got closer and closer to the evil Punisher land's origin. Although it was still in operation, Night Sorrow had a premonition. Elder Sister Xianer, the origin of the world is intelligent. If we continue to advance, it might be alerted. If it is alerted, it will run away directly. We might not be able to catch up to it, Night Sorrow said. My speed is still not bad. It's just that I can't sense where it is. Without a target, I can't chase after it. No matter what, we have to reach the range where it can be detected. Once we reach the range where it can be detected, leave it to me, Lin Xianer said. This was where Lin Xianer couldn't compare to Night Sorrow. She was an Emperor realm emperor, but she was helpless against the origin of the world and couldn't get close to it. Elder Sister Xianer, how about we approach it from the void turbulence? Once we're close, we'll go out. We can only say that we'll try our best. It's hard to say if there will be any results, Night Sorrow said. Once we're close, we'll depend on Elder Sister Xianer. If we can't do it, then we won't be alive. I won't force it, Lin Xianer said with a smile. After cultivating for so many years, she was naturally open-minded about some things. After advancing for another distance, Night Sorrow turned around and looked at Lin Xianer and Datura. It's about 1,000,000 miles away. We can't advance rashly. If we're not careful, it's easy to waste all our previous efforts. Ah Luo, enter my spatial treasure. Night Sorrow nodded at Datura. He didn't say that to Lin Xianer because entering the spatial treasure meant that their lives depended on each other. It wasn't appropriate to speak rashly. After putting Datura into the 8-dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow waved his space-splitting spear and blasted it at the spatial barrier. This spear was the void return to origin strike. The energy gathered into a point and blasted through the spatial barrier. Night Sorrow's spear technique changed again, becoming the void extreme strike. The energy exploded at the point, and then the time vibration wave. It should be the space-time vibration wave, because the energy of time and space had already merged. Using all his strength, Night Sorrow blasted a hole the size of a human head in the spatial barrier. Night Sorrow entered in a flash. This time, he didn't even need to enter the 8-dragon cauldron. The energy in his body changed, and his body shrank a lot. After Night Sorrow entered, Lin Xian, Air also entered. Her body was covered in a purple halo. Void attribute. Turning around to look at Lin Xian, Air, Night Sorrow was stunned. Lin Xian, Air was the same as him, she also had the sovereign void attribute. Yes, but it's not complete enough. It's not pure enough. It still lacks some maturity. You lead the way, and I'll lead you forward. Lin Xian, Air waved her white sleeves lightly, and wrapped Night Sorrow up. There was no need for Night Sorrow to consume energy to protect himself. Too powerful. This was what Night Sorrow felt at this moment. When he released his spacetime domain, it was attacked by the spatial turbulence. It was still constantly shaking, as if it would be destroyed at any time. However, Lin Xian, Air's void domain was incomparably stable. The domain had already become a solid cover, and ripples spread out in all directions, attacking the spatial turbulence. After Night Sorrow pointed out the direction, Lin Xian, Air began to fly. Chapter 1702. Lin Xian, Air's speed was fast. Even in the turbulent space, she didn't seem to be affected. It only took her 2 hours to cover a distance of 1,000,000 miles, and this was under the condition that the world source was still moving. Night Sorrow constantly pointed the way because the world source was still moving. Gue is really with the world source. The array disk in Lin Xian, Air's hand lit up. It was an array disk specially used to detect the existence of Gue. The world source is not easy to control. Sister Xian, Air needs a plan. Night Sorrow reminded her. If it was a normal world source, it would indeed be difficult to control. However, the world source of evil punishing land has been controlled by Gue for a period of time. It is no longer a traditional world source, so its power should have decreased. Perhaps there is a chance. Lin Xian, Air nodded to Night Sorrow. She already had a plan in her heart. It's not far ahead. Sister Xian, Air, it's going to run. Hurry. At this time, Night Sorrow discovered that the world source was accelerating. Lin Xian, Air's right hand formed a blade and slashed at the spatial barrier. She cut open the spatial barrier and rushed out in a flash. She naturally couldn't let the world source and Gue escape. Lin Xian, Air chased after them. Night Sorrow rushed out of the turbulent space and didn't move. He only released Datura. It was useless for him to move. The world source and Lin Xian, Air were too fast. His soul power couldn't lock onto them. Sister Xian, Air chased after them. Datura looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Yes, there is nothing we can do at this time. Night Sorrow nodded. He really couldn't help Lin Xian, Air. If he couldn't keep up with her speed, he couldn't do anything. At this time, Lin Xianer was already close to the source of the evil punishing land. She could also clearly see the form of the source of the evil punishing land. It was a pair of blue wings, and in the middle of the wings, there was a black light. Forever S novel C, want to run? Don't even think about running today. Lin Xian, Air accelerated again, displaying the full speed of the Emperor rank. Lin Xianer knew that this was a great opportunity for her. It was the luck that Night Sorrow had brought to her, the luck of someone close to the body of merit. Lin Xianer, who had used all her speed, drew closer to the world's origin. At this time, the world's origin flapped its wings, drew an arc in the air, and ran back the way it had come. However, the distance between the two of them was getting closer and closer. This was the power of Lin Xianer's Emperor, the evil Punisher source. It wasn't as fast as her, and the distance between them was getting closer and closer. Lin Xianer was confident that she could catch up to the source of the evil punishing grounds and control it. She felt that Gue and the source of the evil punishing grounds would not be able to escape, so the threat of the evil punishing grounds to the celestial realm could be resolved. The source of the evil punishing grounds ran in circles, and once again appeared in the range of Night Sorrow's spiritual strength. What's going on? Why did it run back? Its speed is really fast. Night Sorrow really didn't understand. When it was still 100 li away from Night Sorrow and Datura, Lin Xianer's domain burst forth, suppressing the source of the evil punishing grounds that carried Gue. Her right hand reached out, and energy wrapped around the source of the evil punishing grounds and Gue. However, it wasn't completely suppressed. The source of the evil punishing grounds flapped its wings and continued to fly. Want to run? Stop for me. Lin Xianer roared, and the energy in her body burst forth, completely suppressing the source of the evil punishing grounds that Gue carried. At this time, the source of the evil punishing grounds that carried Gue was completely suppressed by Lin Xianer. However, an accident still happened. The pair of blue wings shook violently, and the world's origin bead embedded on them broke free from Lin Xianer's control and continued to fly away. Lin Xianer's right hand grabbed the still flapping blue wings, and then her body flickered as she continued to chase. If she could destroy the source of the evil punishing grounds, then the evil punishing grounds would become empty and barren, and the birth of evil spirits would be very difficult. The distance between Lin Xianer and the world's origin closed once again. Night Sorrow, get out of the way. Lin Xianer shouted at Night Sorrow, because Night Sorrow and Datura were on the escape route of the evil punishing grounds. Night Sorrow pulled Datura away from the flight path of the evil punishing grounds, and dodged to the side. However, the direction of the evil punishing grounds escape had also changed, and it rushed towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow pulled Datura away, and the evil punishing grounds origin chased after them, while Lin Xianer chased after the world's origin. The three of them chased after each other, and the speed was obvious. Night Sorrow was the slowest, followed by the evil punishing grounds origin, and the fastest was Lin Xianer. The distance between the three of them was quickly closing. Suppress. Lin Xianer flipped her right hand, and a large energy hand covered the evil punishing grounds origin. A black light flashed on the evil punishing grounds origin, and then it accelerated, dodging Lin Xianer's energy hand, and rushed towards Night Sorrow. Block. Unable to dodge, Night Sorrow waved his arm, and the 8-dragon cauldron appeared, blocking the path of the world's origin. With the sound of metal clashing, the origin of evil punishers punched a hole in the 8-dragon cauldron. The origin of evil punishers, which had pierced through the 8-dragon cauldron, charged at Yishan. Mysterious yellow armor. Night Sorrow roared again. However, the evil punishing grounds origin was too fast, and before Night Sorrow's mysterious yellow armor could complete its defense, it directly shot into Night Sorrow's chest, sending Night Sorrow's body flying. Boundless energy rushed towards Night Sorrow's body, and the evil punishing grounds origin bead also rushed towards Night Sorrow's spirit sea. At this time, the 9-region origin bead in Night Sorrow's spirit sea moved, and a similarly boundless world's origin blasted towards the evil punishing grounds origin. Following a loud explosion, Night Sorrow's mind went blank, and he didn't know what happened next. At this time, in the eyes of Lin Xianer and Datura, Night Sorrow's body was constantly exploding, and energy was constantly bursting out. Night Sorrow's head was bleeding from all 7 orifices, and holes were constantly appearing on his body, shooting out energy from the holes. When Lin Xianer and Datura arrived, Night Sorrow had already fallen to the ground and was no longer moving. Blood flowed from his mouth, and his body was riddled with holes. Night Sorrow. Datura reached out to help Night Sorrow up, but just as his hand touched Night Sorrow, he was directly sent flying by a wave of energy. Lin Xianer first helped Datura up. Don't touch him first, his body has become a battlefield between the origin beads of the 2 worlds. Now that the battle is over, the energy is still in his body, and this is a big problem. Lin Xianer understood what was going on. From the moment the evil punishing grounds origin entered Night Sorrow's body, she had been observing the flow of energy in Night Sorrow's body. The evil punishing ground's origin wanted to break through Night Sorrow's spirit sea, because Night Sorrow's spirit sea had the light of virtue, which was its natural enemy, and it contained the power of ghosts. Chapter 1703. Night Sorrow had lost consciousness, but the consciousness of the 9 regions origin bead was still present. It tried its best to protect Night Sorrow's body. The light of virtue in Night Sorrow's spirit sea also moved, enveloping Night Sorrow's body and constantly purifying the ghostly power contained in the evil punishing land. Big Sister Xian, how is Night Sorrow now? Datura was more anxious. At this moment, Night Sorrow was too miserable. His body was full of holes and blood flowed freely. He was hit by the energy impact and was knocked unconscious. His body has suffered a certain degree of damage, but it doesn't matter. His source was not damaged. This time, he will benefit from this disaster, Lin Xian said. The light of virtue purified the evil energy in Night Sorrow's body. After the purified energy was absorbed by Night Sorrow's body, the light of virtue also absorbed. It's good that he's not in danger. I wonder when he will wake up. Datura felt a little more at ease after hearing that Night Sorrow was not in danger. It's hard to say. The current situation for him is that he has been destroyed and rebuilt. His body has been shaken beyond recognition, but it is also an opportunity for him to absorb energy to strengthen himself and reconstruct himself. This is also thanks to his tyrannical body. If it were anyone else, let alone an emperor, even an imperial emperor's body would have been destroyed and exploded, Lin Xian said after arriving in front of Night Sorrow and sensing the situation in Night Sorrow's body again. It's good that he's fine. You scared me to death, Datura said with lingering fear. We have the ghost wings. If Night Sorrow suffers any irrecoverable injuries because of this, I will not be able to live with myself, Lin Xian said as she looked at the pair of light blue wings in her hand. At this moment, the pair of wings was still struggling. Guizhu, you left behind a lot of trump cards. Unfortunately, your time has passed. Accept your fate. Lin Xian said as she looked at the blue wings. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the pair of blue wings, which was the ghost wings, struggled even more violently. 4. Ah Luo, help me and Night Sorrow keep watch. Night Sorrow's condition cannot be disturbed, I have to solve this problem. Lin Xian pointed to the blue wings in her hand. Datura nodded her head. She knew that Night Sorrow was at a critical juncture and Lin Xian had to deal with Gui. Night Sorrow woke up. He did not know how much time had passed. He wanted to move his body, but he could not. His whole body was in unbearable pain. Don't move. Try to circulate your body tempering technique and absorb the energy scattered in your body into your flesh and bones. The 9 regions origin bead's voice rang out. Night Sorrow could not even nod his head. He could only use the myriad Tao Tomes cultivation technique to cultivate the virtuous immortal body. It hurts. As he circulated his cultivation technique, Night Sorrow endured a heart-wrenching pain. He also discovered his situation. His bones were all shattered and his tendons and veins were all broken. His body was now like a tattered piece of linen. It was a tragic sight, so it was especially painful to circulate his energy. There was nothing he could do about the pain. Night Sorrow had to persevere. Otherwise, he would not be able to recover and would continue to lie on the ground like mud. Because of the bone-piercing pain, Night Sorrow, who had not sweated for many years, had sweat flowing down his cheeks and his body was constantly trembling. Datura naturally knew about Night Sorrow's situation. She was extremely anxious and did not know what was going on. She could only watch as Night Sorrow endured the pain. Time passed in torment. Lin Xian had already entered the time acceleration treasure to refine the ghost wings while Night Sorrow recovered. In the blink of an eye, a month passed and Lin Xian came out. She had refined the ghost wings for more than 3 years in the time acceleration treasure before completely erasing the aura that Guizhu had left on the ghost wings. This was different from recognizing a master. The ghost wings was a treasure that Guizhou had used his soul power to nourish for countless years. It was very difficult to completely erase it. Otherwise, Lin Xian would not have refined it for more than 3 years with her emperor rank cultivation. After lying in bed for a month, Night Sorrow's aura had stabilized a lot. However, he was still in seclusion and had already passed the painful stage. His body was covered in golden light. He had already completed the destruction and reconstruction. The bones in his body were already infinitely close to the lustrous golden bones. Night Sorrow already knew about his situation. However, he was somewhat regretful. Because no matter how strong his clone was, his main body could not cultivate. His cultivation realm could not keep up and he could not complete the breakthrough. However, the 9 regions origin bead told Night Sorrow a piece of news that made him feel at ease. At that time, in order to ensure that Night Sorrow's body was not broken, the 9 regions origin bead had gathered and sealed 2/3 of the energy of the evil punishing land to the greatest extent. In other words, when Night Sorrow's main body needed it, the 9 regions origin bead could give this energy to Night Sorrow to use. Night Sorrow's heart trembled. If his main body wanted to reach the strength of his clone, he would need to be destroyed and reconstructed. The pain of broken bones and tendons was unavoidable. 1.5 months later, Night Sorrow woke up. His cultivation had been completed. The strength of his body had already reached the peak of the 8th rank. He could not break through because of the limitations of his main body. He opened his eyes and stood up. Night Sorrow stretched his waist. Immediately, crackling sounds came from his body. The energy in his body surged and light rippled in all directions. I've reached the critical point. If I take another step forward, my physical attacks will be able to carry the power of heaven and earth, Lin Xian said. Elder Sister Xian, I'm sorry. The evil punishing land's origin bead ran into my body and caused Elder Sister Xian, to miss out on an opportunity. Night Sorrow looked at Lin Xian, apologetically. What are you talking about? A pair of sky blue wings is already a heaven-defying opportunity. Sky blue wings are ghost wings, a name that Guizhou forcefully changed. Lin Xian's body trembled and a pair of energy wings appeared on her back. That's good. Our mission this time has been completed. The 300 fires of life that we need to hand over to the Ethereal War Emperor has also been settled. After hunting for a while, we can return, Night Sorrow said. The message that the Ethereal War Emperor had asked Sung Ning to pass on was to ask for 300 fires of life. There was no mention of grade, which meant that they just had to be mixed up like last time. In the future, the fires of life in this evil punishing land will get lesser and lesser. Night Sorrow, you can wait for a large amount of merit to be added to your body. This will completely solve a hidden danger. The thicker the merit, the stronger your foundation. Even if the heavenly desolate city receives news that is not beneficial to you, they won't make things too difficult for you, Lin Xian said with a smile. Lin Xian said with a smile. She knew that Yi Shang had reaped a great harvest this time. It was an unintentional harvest. Then let my body enter the Emperor realm. Night Sorrow communicated with the 9 domains origin bead and controlled it to leave his body. The 9 domains origin bead left Night Sorrow's body and drew an arc in the air, breaking through the spatial barrier and disappearing. Night Sorrow, what's going on with you? Lin Xian was a little confused. Datura was also a little confused. Chapter 1704. Night Sorrow, you're not bad. Your spacetime attribute can enter the Emperor realm, your body can enter the Emperor realm, and your chi has room to develop. No one can compare to you at this stage. Lin Xian's eyes were full of praise. After that, Night Sorrow and the other 2 continued to kill evil spirits in the evil Punisher land. 2 days later, Night Sorrow's main body received the 9 region origin pearl. The moment he received the 9 region origin pearl, golden lotuses appeared in the sky and the light of virtue descended. The heavenly Tao's rules covered all parts of the celestial realm. Perhaps there was a cycle, but the world's origin was always covered. Therefore, when the 9-region origin pearl reached Night Sorrow's main body, the light of virtue also arrived. It was stronger than the last time, much stronger. Golden lotuses filled the sky, and the sound of nature was constantly heard. Fortunately, Night Sorrow was the only one who comprehended the will of nothingness, so it didn't cause much of a commotion. Square root, K forever. For a long time, free of charge. Night Sorrow's power of virtue continued to increase rapidly. He broke through the virtuous great sage and entered the virtuous heavenly monarch realm, and continued to climb. Night Sorrow understood why the reward this time was so great. It was because he had solved the root of the threat to the celestial realm from the evil Punisher land. He had solved the root of the problem. After entering the virtuous heavenly monarch realm, the light of virtue continued to descend. This didn't require Night Sorrow to cultivate. The heavenly Tao's reward was the same. Surpassing the virtuous heavenly monarch realm continued. Half-Emperor. Half-Emperor. When he reached the peak of the virtuous heavenly monarch realm, Night Sorrow felt that he could break through, but he couldn't. The light of virtue continued to descend. Night Sorrow understood that this matter could only reach this level. It wasn't that he didn't have enough merit, but that he didn't have enough merit for the celestial realm. He still needed to do something for the celestial realm. As long as he did it right, he could become the virtuous heavenly monarch. The leakless golden body circulated and locked the virtuous golden light. Night Sorrow entered the clear sky pagoda. He wanted to speed up his cultivation and rush his body into the 9th stage martial emperor realm. At that time, his combat strength would increase slightly. Looking at himself, Night Sorrow sighed. Some pain still had to be endured. After Night Sorrow protected his divine Si and Dantian, he communicated with the 9 regions origin pearl and told it was done. At that moment, the 9 regions origin bead released the power it had sealed. It was even stronger than what Night Sorrow had endured in the evil Punisher space. That was because Night Sorrow's original body was slightly stronger than his avatar. Without enough power, it could not break Night Sorrow's tendons and bones. It could not completely break him. Night Sorrow's clone, who was meditating to sense his merit cultivation, suddenly lost his balance. Then, a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. That's really strong. What's wrong with you? Lin Xian, and Datura each grabbed one of Night Sorrow's arms. My original body was cultivating and broke the tendons and bones in his body. The energy was too strong and rushed to the divine sea. I was also affected. Night Sorrow took a deep breath and recovered. His original body's soul had been affected, but the effect on his avatar was only temporary. What's the level of your virtuous body? Lin Xian, asked. I'm at the peak of the virtuous half-martial emperor realm and have accumulated a lot of virtuous light. I only lack the opportunity to enter the virtuous monarch realm. Night Sorrow said. Then, Night Sorrow's group of 3 continued forward. However, Night Sorrow's condition was not good. The pain his original body was enduring was also felt by his avatar. When his avatar was cultivating, Night Sorrow's original body was meditating, so the impact was not great. In addition, his original body was the main body, so the avatar's pain was not intense. Now that it was the other way around, Night Sorrow's avatar was experiencing intense sensory stimulation and could no longer fight. In this situation, the 3 of them could only rest. Night Sorrow quietly meditated, enduring the consequences of his original body's cultivation. The Emperor realm was very important, whether it was Qi or the body. Why didn't Night Sorrow leave Ling Qinhui's corpse? Because it was useless. The evil spirits in the dark abyss of the world of reincarnation couldn't harm him at all. Even if he used evil spirits to deal with opponents, they would only be below the 9th rank. Ah, Luo, I'm sorry. You didn't get any opportunities in both times. Lin Xian looked at Datura and said apologetically. Sister Xian, don't say that. You've helped me a lot. My domain of death has already changed. It's a rare opportunity. Datura said with a smile. The destruction stone that Lin Xian gave her had greatly increased her strength. It's good that it suits you. Lin Xian nodded. The three of them camped for a day. Night Sorrow's body changed, the destruction divine wind and soul extinguishing flame appeared again. Emperor Realm Tribulation. Night Sorrow's clone meditated for a day, but his original body cultivated in the clear sky god pagoda for 1.5 months. Looking at the situation of Night Sorrow's body, Lin Xian, and Datura knew what was going on. Night Sorrow's cultivation had entered the Emperor Realm. It was the strength of his body. After withstanding the wind and fire tribulation, Night Sorrow didn't feel any danger this time. It was also an opportunity because this was a chance for him to comprehend the will of destruction. Because they weren't worried, Datura and Lin Xian made tea and chatted. Night Sorrow enjoyed the feeling of enlightenment brought by the destruction divine wind because such an opportunity was hard to come by. The tribulation took 3 days to pass. Night Sorrow's virtuous immortal body had entered the Emperor Realm and his will of destruction had reached 99%. This meant that he would reach the perfection stage if he improved further. This was a bottleneck that couldn't be comprehended by force. He needed an opportunity to break through. After the tribulation passed, Yi Shuang's avatar's body cultivation also reached stage 9 as his true body's realm increased. In such a short period of time, your strength has soared again. This is simply too terrifying. Lin Xian said. In the celestial realm, the virtuous sage had appeared, but the virtuous sage hadn't. Now that Night Sorrow had broken through the virtuous heavenly monarch, he had directly become a virtuous half-emperor. This was an unprecedented trend. Cultivating his body to the Emperor Realm was also an incredible achievement that ordinary people wouldn't dare to think about. Luck, but I stole Sister Xian's opportunity. Night Sorrow said. What's wrong with the two of you? Without your help, would I have gotten the opportunity to obtain the sky blue wings? I should be the one thanking you. But we're friends, so there's no point in saying this. Lin Xian said. The three of them continued to move forward and collect the fire of life. The three of them wouldn't come here again in the future. Even if they did, there wouldn't be many evil spirits to kill. While Night Sorrow's group was training, 3 elders came to Ethereal City. One of them had a long sword on his back and a cold aura on his face. He was the Heaven Desolation City's Gu Qi. The other one was Bai Chuyuan with a cold expression. He was the brother of the Heaven Extreme Sage Emperor. This time, he was also the one who received the news from Ling Daoxiu. The last one was an elder wearing a robe embroidered with spiritual herbs. He was the elder of the Spiritual Tree Clan. When the 3 of them arrived, Lin Piaomiao appeared and led the 3 of them to the city lord's mansion. May I know what the 3 elders are here for? Lin Piaomiao sat on the main seat. Commander Lin, you're asking the obvious. Bai Chuyuan said. Chapter 1705. Calm down, Commander Lin. Bai Chuyuan, we're here for business. Gu Qi waved his hand at Lin Piaomiao and looked at Bai Chuyuan. Bai Chuyuan's face was filled with anger, but he turned his head to the side. Elder Gu, please speak. Lin Piaomiao ignored Bai Chuyuan. It's about the appearance of the black dragon in the human territory. We want to capture that dragon language and Night Sorrow who took in the dragon language. We don't know the details, but we have to deal with it once we get the news. Commander Lin, please tell us what you know. After all, this is the decision of the elders. Gu Qi said. All right. Then I'll tell you. The dragon language came to the celestial realm from the lower realm alone. He came through the passage opened by Night Sorrow. After that, he had no contact with Night Sorrow. Some time ago, the despicable celestial sect captured the dragon language and wanted to refine it alive. Night Sorrow got the news and saved him since we came out together. I didn't think it was a big problem, so I didn't do anything. Lin Piaomiao said. At her level, there was no need to lie. Commander Lin, this doesn't seem like much, but it's a big problem. We don't mean to blame you, but the black dragons wouldn't appear for no reason. I'm from the spiritual tree clan, but I don't want to see problems in the human territory. So we have to deal with the dragon language. As for Night Sorrow, let's talk to him. If there's no problem, we won't make things difficult for him. The spiritual tree clan elder said. Thank you for your understanding, spiritual tree clan elder. I don't care about the dragon language. You can capture or kill him if you want. But Night Sorrow is the lord of the Misty Dynasty. So please handle this carefully. Lin Piao said. All right. The spiritual tree clan elder nodded. P. Yong unspecified currency watch videos for free. Speak. Then please rest. Night Sorrow isn't in the Imperial City. He entered the evil Punisher land and will be back in a month. Men. Arrange a VIP room. Lin Piao shouted at the City Lord Mansion's guards. Night Sorrow's group of 3 charged towards the entrance of the evil Punisher grounds. If there were any flames of life, they would collect them. In less than 3 months, the 3 of them returned to the vicinity of the evil Punisher gate. Night Sorrow removed the transmission array, because there was no need to enter again. After exiting the evil extermination gate, Night Sorrow's group of 3 returned to the Night Moon Villa. After a while, Tsang Ning arrived and told Night Sorrow about the incident. So I'm about to be interrogated? Night Sorrow smiled and felt that he had a clear conscience since he didn't betray the human race. Just do what needs to be done. You're upright and there's nothing to be afraid of. They can't just pin a label on you for no reason. However, not every clan elder of the 100 Races Alliance is upright and plain-spoken. There are also some narrow-minded people. You have to be careful. Lin Xian looked at Night Sorrow and said. Following that, Night Sorrow followed Song Ning to the City Lord Mansion. Lin Piao sat on the City Lord's chair. 3 clan elders will be here in a while. No matter what, I won't let you be threatened. However, because this involves the human race and the 100 Races Alliance, no one can act on their own. Not even I can. Thank you, Battle Emperor. If Night Sorrow is in trouble, I hope you can continue to support the Star Moon Lake. Night Sorrow will be eternally grateful. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Lin Piao. Don't worry about this. As long as the Misty Dynasty exists, the Star Moon Lake will also exist. This is my promise. Lin Piao said. Night Sorrow nodded. He vaguely felt that this matter might be a little serious. Otherwise, the Battle Emperor Lin Piao wouldn't say this. After a short while, Gu Qi, Bai Chunyuan, and Elder Ling Shu arrived and sat down. You are Night Sorrow? Gu Qi, who was carrying a long sword on his back, looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I am. Night Sorrow nodded. Then where is the Black Dragon's member, dragon language? Gu Qi asked. Night Sorrow isn't sure. After rescuing her, she stayed for a few days and left. As for where she went, I don't know. Night Sorrow glanced at Gu Qi and the other 2 and said. You still dare to be vague and not tell us the truth? Bai Chunyuan slapped the armrest of the chair. Tell you the truth? Am I a criminal? Did I commit a heinous crime? Yi Shan looked at Bai Chunyuan. He found Bai Chunyuan an eyesore. Bai Chunyuan was always bossy and annoying. Do you want to die? Bai Chunyuan couldn't hold it in anymore. All right. You have the strength and the fist. You have the authority today. However, I don't know anything about the Black Dragons. I know dragon language, but I don't know anything about her. I don't know her whereabouts either. Night Sorrow took a deep breath. Using Ling Qinhui's words, he was a fish on the chopping block because he couldn't see through the cultivation of the 3 elders. You think it's okay if you don't know? Bai Chunyuan roared. If I don't know, are you going to force me to say it? Night Sorrow was enraged. If he had the strength, he would have punched Bai Chunyuan's old face. Young man, this is a big matter for the human race. We are only here to resolve some hidden dangers. Gu Qi extended his arm and stopped Bai Chuyuan, who was about to speak. Senior, can I say a few words? Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Gu Qi. Speak. Gu Qi nodded at Yishang. Today was his first time seeing Yishang, but he admired him because Yishang had a heroic spirit that flourished. Night Sorrow explained the situation in the Devil Blood domain, how he interacted with the dragon language, and the history of the dragon language. You won the domain war. She helped you a lot. From your point of view, that's right. However, from the human race's point of view, there's a problem. The last time the human race led the alliance to fight the devil-winged race, the battle ended with a huge loss of manpower. At this time, the black dragons invaded and the human race lost 2 elders. The elders are the foundation of the human race in the celestial realm. You might think that we implicated the innocent, but that's not the case, Gu Qi said. Senior, please speak clearly. Night Sorrow knew that Gu Qi had more to say. You're not even 200 years old. There are some things you don't understand. Some races conceal some soul information before they are born. Therefore, you don't know the specifics of the dragon language. Perhaps you're innocent. However, the human race can't take the risk. Last time, the human race suffered too much. 2 elders died and many emperors and emperors fell. Do you understand what I'm saying? Gu Qi looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow felt helpless and even lost. He couldn't refute Gu Qi's words because he was a human. I understand. Senior, how do you plan to deal with this? Night Sorrow knew that this was the way things were going to go. We'll deal with the dragon language. You don't have to take responsibility. However, we have to study your problem, Gu Qi said. Scum of the human race, what's there to study? Just kill him. Bai Chuyuan stood up and his aura surged. He was about to attack. Chapter 1706. Commander Lin, don't be agitated. Elder Bai, you can't do it this way. Night Sorrow, right? I'm not a human, so I don't have any prejudice. Follow us to Tianhuang City. As for how to deal with this, the elders will decide. Elder Lingshu stood up and said. Then we'll do as Elder Lingshu says. But we have to go with our original body and doppelganger. Don't miss out. Go and inform them. Bai Chuyuan said. Haha. Night Sorrow laughed. You're a human race's elder. I can't imagine. Then we'll do that. Night Sorrow, don't worry. The elders will give you a fair ruling. Elder Bai, don't say anything. I won't work with you in the future. Gu Qi's face was ugly because he felt embarrassed. Night Sorrow, if this matter can't be dealt with properly, I'll leave Tianhuang City. Lin Piaomiao stood up and looked at Bai Chuyuan. Commander Lin, don't be like this. There's really no need. Elder Lingshu said. I'll convey Commander Lin's intentions to the elders. Gu Qi nodded to Lin Piaomiao. Night Sorrow, come back with your original body. Let them deal with this matter and see what they can do. If it's not suitable, I'll take revenge for you. Lin Piaomiao said. Since the Battle Emperor has spoken, I'll come back. Actually, I'm not afraid of them killing my original body and doppelganger. If they mess with me, I'll pay them back 100 times. Battle Emperor, please arrange a place for me in the City Lord Manor. My original body is still stabilizing my cultivation. I'll come over in the next 2 days. Night Sorrow said to Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao nodded to the guards at the entrance of the hall. Arrange a VIP room for Night Lord. Night Sorrow left the hall of the City Lord Manor and was led to the VIP room by the guards. Please bring my wife over from Night Moon Manor. Night Sorrow said to the guards. Please wait for a moment, Night Lord. I'll make the arrangements right away. The City Lord's guards nodded and went to make the arrangements. They knew about Night Sorrow and respected Night Sorrow very much. Inside City Lord Manor, Bai Chuyuan sneered. Aren't you afraid of killing your true body and avatar? What arrogance. Whether or not it's big, it's not up to Elder Bai to decide. There are some things that I don't need to explain to you. Elder Bai, you're not new to the Jianghu. Don't bully the young and poor. There are some people that you can't afford to offend. I'll talk to the person who can make the decision. Lin Piaomiao stood up and disappeared from the City Lord Manor. Gu Qi and Elder Ling Shu shook their heads and went to the VIP building to rest. They knew that they had offended Lin Piaomiao because Bai Chuyuan's words were too arrogant. The VIP building arranged a loft for each of them. However, Elder Ling Shu went to look for Gu Qi. Elder Gu, Yishang's eyes were sharp, but there wasn't a trace of evil in them. When he communicated with us, his eyes didn't waver at all. It's clear that there's nothing shameful in his heart. What he said should be true. We can't make Commander Lin unhappy because of this. Elder Bai and I don't have much to say, so Elder Gu should deal with this matter. Stability is the most important thing. Didn't we come out for stability? If we make the ethereal dynasty unhappy and the human tribe is in turmoil, then the gains won't make up for the losses, said Elder Ling Shu. I've thought about this before. Commander Lin said that she'll talk to the person who can make the decision. We just have to bring them back. Gu Qi nodded. We're elders only because we've lived for a long time. In terms of battle achievements and ability, Commander Lin isn't any worse than us. If we don't get along well, it'll be a loss for the greater good. Elder Ling Shu said. Elder Ling Shu is right. I understand. This matter is troublesome. Other than Night Sorrow, we only have bad blood with the black dragons. If we directly kill a young dragon, this matter will also make the black dragons angry. Unfortunately, there are too many different opinions. Elder Bai is an example. Gu Qi said. Datura and Lin Xian went to the VIP building where Night Sorrow was. Night Sorrow, you don't have to worry too much. You're a virtuous merit half-emperor. Whoever dares to touch you is blind. Lin Xian said. I've been sealing my aura and hiding the virtuous merit in my body because I don't want to be discovered by them. Now that I've revealed some things, I'll be schemed against by some random people. I might even be eliminated by some people before I even see the person in charge. Night Sorrow waved his hand and set up an energy barrier. You're right. I'll discuss it with Lord Battle Emperor later. Lin Xian said. After my original body comes, I'll take some defensive measures. If they want to kill me, I'll send them a clone. It's impossible for them to destroy my original body and soul. If they don't follow the rules and act recklessly, it's fine because I don't have the strength. If I have the strength, I'll fight them to the death. What human alliance? If they act recklessly, they'll only harm the human race. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, let's go back to the primal chaos realm. That's the safest place. Anyway, we've already broken the shackles that prevented us from becoming emperors. That's enough. Datura said worriedly. In the past, it was my dream to break the shackles of the 9-domain world that prevented us from becoming emperors. But in fact, I only broke the shackles of the 9-domain world. The world of reincarnation and the other worlds in the primal chaos realm can't do it. Therefore, the existence of Star Moon City is very necessary. If we escape, it'll be irresponsible and it'll make things difficult for Lord Battle Emperor. I also want to see the Tianhuang city and see what kind of style the clan elder who represents the human race has. Besides, I can't leave now. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Lin Xian stayed for a while and then left. Ah Luo, don't worry. I've communicated with the 9-domain origin pearl. If they really want to kill me, the 9-domain origin pearl can help me. Although it can't directly return to the 9-domain world, it can help me escape for a while. It'll just consume some of the world's origin energy. It can't be used as a normal escape method. Night Sorrow said. Okay, then I'm relieved. Datura nodded. Don't worry. The 9-domain origin pearl isn't something that the evil Punisher land's origin energy can compare to. It's a supreme origin energy and has its own intelligence. Its ability is much stronger than the evil Punisher land's origin energy. Night Sorrow explained the situation to Datura again before releasing the barrier. Datura nodded to Night Sorrow. If I'm not here, you're the strongest in the primal chaos realm. You can make some decisions. Your original body will return to the 9-domain world. Night Sorrow said to Datura. Tsang Ning, Wufeng, Luo Yuandao, and Lin Qixing all found Lin Piaomiao to ask about this matter. Jiang Tianheng also came. Although they weren't close, he didn't want to see anything happen to Night Sorrow. 5 of the 7 palace lords came. Night Sorrow is very successful as a person. You don't have to worry about this matter. Others don't know about the Heavenly Desolate City and the 100 Race Alliance, but you do. This isn't something that I can make decisions about. However, I won't let them do as they please. I'll make arrangements for how to deal with it. Lin Piaomiao said. Why forever, free of X fees? Look at W5, say M. Chapter 1707. Night Sorrow said to Datura, Luo, after I leave, I'll leave Night Moon Villa and Star Moon Lake to you. Since you can't become an emperor after returning to the primal chaos realm, you can stay in Star Moon City with your main body and leave your clone in Night Moon Villa to handle some matters. If you have any problems, you can ask Sister Xian, and Tsang Ning for help. Night Sorrow, don't worry. Night Moon Villa's matters are my business, Tsang Ning said to Tsang Ning. Tsang Ning said from within the Yeyue Villa. She and Wufeng were waiting for the return of Yishang's original body. Wufeng looked at Night Sorrow and said, Brother will help you look after Night Sorrow. Alright, I'm relieved. Night Sorrow nodded at them and went to the City Lord's mansion's VIP tower. His main body and his clones sorted out the resources. Night Sorrow left some necessary resources behind and handed a few storage rings to Datura's clone. Bring them back to the 9-domain world. These are the resources for the 9-domain world's rise. Datura nodded. He knew that Night Sorrow had left them behind. Night Sorrow's trip to Tianhuang City was dangerous. No one knew how the upper echelons of Tianhuang City would deal with it. Night Sorrow also heard some news in the past 2 days. The 2 most famous cities of the human race in the celestial realm were Tianhuang City and Shendu City. Tianhuang City was a city of war, while Shendu City was the most prosperous city in the celestial realm. However, the people in charge of these 2 cities were the human race's elders. Only the forces recognized by the human race's elders could develop. The leaders of these forces were cultivators who had made contributions to the human race. They were the human race's lords. Go back. I'll leave the children's education to you. If the children ask, just tell them I'm going out for training. Night Sorrow instructed Datura. Datura had left. Although she was worried, she knew that the human race's elders would treat Night Sorrow with caution. After all, Night Sorrow was the virtuous half-martial emperor. Even the Deluxe Merit Grand Sage and the Deluxe Merit Lord were powerful. This was the recognition of the heavenly Tao. Whoever decided to deal with Night Sorrow would hurt their own fate, or even the fate of the human race. In the past, it was very difficult for Night Sorrow to control his aura so that it did not leak out. He could not hide from the detection of experts. However, Night Sorrow's body had reached the Arch Realm, and his leakless true body was even more powerful. He could seal his aura so that it did not leak out at all. His light of merit did not leak out, and no one could detect him. Because they still had to capture the dragon language, even though Night Sorrow's main body and avatar had arrived, Gu Qi and the other 2 did not leave Ethereal Imperial City. Gu Qi came to see Night Sorrow. The 2 drank a jar of wine. Neither of them mentioned this matter, and they just drank and chatted. Gucci asked about Night Sorrow's past. After hearing about Night Sorrow's experiences, Gucci's eyes were filled with admiration. As for the divination and the pursuit of the dragon language, Bai Chuyuan was in charge. However, he had used a secret technique twice, but to no avail. This made him fly into a rage. One night Sorrow and Gucci were drinking tea when Bai Chuyuan came. His face was ashen. You dare say that the dragon language has nothing to do with dragons? Then how did she avoid the divination? There are 2 diviners in the ethereal city Lord Manor. My secret technique failed when the divination failed. How do you explain this? Percent Visiona Edition K, first release. Do I need to explain? Night Sorrow looked at Bai Chuyuan and said. He knew that it was useless to speak nicely to Bai Chuyuan. Even if he had a good attitude, it was useless. Bai Chuyuan couldn't wait to kill him. Why don't you need to explain? Bai Chuyuan roared angrily. I don't know about her. If you want me to explain, I can only say that the diviner's abilities are lacking. My lord's secret technique is lacking as well, Night Sorrow said. Shall I kill you now? Bai Chuyuan drew his sword. Stop. Gucci stood up. It seems like Elder Bai wants to kill the overlord of the ethereal imperial dynasty in our territory. You can try. I, Lin Piaomiao, won't stop you. However, you have to return to White Emperor City immediately to collect your corpse. I guarantee that White Emperor City will be flooded with blood. Lin Piaomiao appeared. At this moment, her body was filled with a murderous aura. White Emperor City was a territory under Bai Chuyuan's control. It was currently under the control of his descendants. Commander Lin, what do you mean? Are you trying to scare me? Bai Chuyuan narrowed his eyes and looked at Lin Piaomiao. Hee, have I, Lin Piaomiao, ever tried to scare anyone? You can try and see if I'm trying to scare you. Lin Piaomiao's starry eyes curved slightly behind her veil. It was a smile of contempt. All right, Elder Bai. I'll handle Night Sorrow's matter. Gucci stood up as well. Bai Chuyuan, if you want to become the second Sky Emperor, I don't mind learning from the great Demon King. Killing you is a personal grudge. It won't affect the interests of the human race. Lin Piaomiao took the teapot in front of Night Sorrow and poured herself a cup of tea. She didn't show any emotion, as though she was just having a casual conversation. Although her words were calm, it had a huge effect. Gucci and Elder Ling Shu, who had rushed over, were stunned. Bai Chuyuan's face flushed red, but he didn't reply. The Great Demon King was a title. He did things both righteously and evilly. Just like Lin Piaomiao, he was also a commander of Sky Desolation City. They were both lords of their own territories. The Great Demon King was even in charge of a region. Because he couldn't stand Sky Emperor, he took action, causing Sky Emperor to not dare to show his face. Now that Lin Piaomiao had said this, if Bai Chuyuan still wanted to kill in Piaomiao dynasty, the consequences would be dire. Losing face, Bai Chuyuan flung his sleeves and left. He didn't want to provoke Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao's reputation was too great. No one on the celestial demon rankings could compare to her in a head-on fight. If she really wanted to kill someone, it would be terrifying. Bai Chuyuan didn't want to become the second Sky Emperor. Do your job well. I, Lin Piaomiao, respect every single elder of the human race. If you don't want your face, then I, Lin Piaomiao, won't hold back either. Lin Piaomiao said softly, then turned and left. Gucci and Elder Lingshu looked at each other and sighed. They knew the reason for this. It was because Piaomiao dynasty had slapped Sky Emperor Sek's face and took over 80 million miles of Sky Emperor Sek's territory. Bai Chuyuan and Sky Emperor Sect were friends. Sky Emperor Sect was recommended by Bai Chuyuan to be the commander of Sky Desolation City. Later on, Sky Emperor Sect was forced by the Great Demon King to not show his face. Hence, Bai Chuyuan was the one who took care of Sky Emperor Sect. Bai Chunyuan was dissatisfied that Lin Piaomiao had taken over 80 million miles of Sky Emperor Sec's territory. This was equivalent to not giving him any face. Hence, he came this time to kill Night Sorrow to save Lin Piaomiao's face. But reality was different from what Bai Chunyuan thought. Lin Piaomiao wasn't afraid of him at all. She didn't give him any face at all and even wanted to attack him. This made him helpless. Night Sorrow was very stable every day. There wouldn't be any results for now. Bai Chunyuan had his reservations about killing him. He didn't want to offend Lin Piaomiao. Chapter 1708. Night Sorrow stabilized his realm every day. However, he picked up a habit. Every morning, he would wave his reincarnation spear and stretch his muscles and bones. He would display the basic spear techniques of a warrior. This was because he wasn't even considered a cultivator. Gu Qi would appreciate it with relish. Elder Ling Shu was also very quiet. He would sit for half a day with a pot of tea or a pot of aged wine. Bai Chunyuan wanted to capture the dragon language. He wouldn't leave without a result. Night Sorrow would be waiting. After stretching his muscles and bones, Night Sorrow began to cultivate his alchemy skills. He had a lot of materials now. It took him a few days to raise his alchemy skills to the emperor level. He used to be an emperor's preceptor, but he wasn't skilled enough because his cultivation level wasn't high enough. After raising his alchemy skills to the emperor level, Night Sorrow took out the materials and began to forge weapons and armor. He used 5 days to forge 2 weapons. Night Sorrow also raised his alchemy skills to the emperor level. Following that, Night Sorrow began to forge swords, battle sabers, and armors in large quantities. He forged quite a few king and heaven monarch level swords and battle sabers. He forged a few emperor level swords and battle sabers. Young man, you're clearly an emperor's preceptor. Why are you still forging low-level weapons? I really don't understand you young people. Elder Ling Shu was a little confused. He couldn't suppress his curiosity and asked. Senior, I'm the only rank 9 cultivator in my hometown. Who should I refine emperor-level weapons for? Therefore, rank 8 weapons are the most suitable. Rank 9 weapons are enough as backup. If they can reach rank 9, they will take care of the people who come after them. I won't be needed. Night Sorrow said. Your thinking is very reasonable. However, you don't have to worry too much. This matter isn't a dead end. At the very least, I don't believe that you're a traitor of the human race. Although others may have different opinions, they won't kill you. Gu Qi said. Thank you, Senior. I'm fine now. I'll do as much as I can for my hometown. Night Sorrow took out his 8-dragon cauldron and began to repair it. The 8-dragon cauldron had been pierced through by the evil Punisher's origin. It was a hole. Night Sorrow took out the materials and began to study it. He had first refined pills and weapons, then repaired the 8-dragon cauldron. This was because Night Sorrow wanted to refine the 8-dragon cauldron carefully and increase its grade and quality. This was because the 8-dragon cauldron was his protective magic treasure, and it was filled with emotions. Night Sorrow had used the most precious materials that he had accumulated. In addition, it was very difficult to repair because the 8-dragon cauldron had an artifact spirit. He had to be careful when replacing materials and arrays. Gu Qi and Elder Ling Shu were drinking tea and watching from the side. After looking at it for a day, Elder Spirit Tree opened his mouth. Elder Gu, what's the situation? Isn't it harder to repair it than to refine it again? He was an alchemist, so he didn't know much about refining weapons. This repair is indeed more difficult than refining it from scratch, but it's not useless. This is because he has preserved the most precious part of the damaged cauldron. He has preserved the artifact spirit from being harmed. However, his technique is too crude. It's the lowest level of refining. It can't even be considered an inheritance. It's just some common techniques in the celestial realm. Using such a crude refining technique to refine an emperor weapon is unheard of in the celestial realm, Gucci said. He was an alchemist and understood Night Sorrow's intentions from Night Sorrow's refining. He also expressed his evaluation of Night Sorrow's refining technique. This situation? His refining technique is the same. His technique is very crude. Elder Ling Shu looked at Gucci. The two of them looked at each other and had some thoughts. Night Sorrow didn't come from the polar region and didn't have any inheritance. This wasn't a lie. They also saw Night Sorrow's potential. High-level techniques and techniques could increase the speed of refining and refining weapons. They could also increase the quality. Therefore, no one would not use high-level techniques and techniques. Night Sorrow's low-level techniques were skillful and smooth. This was a sign of long-term use. Gucci and Elder Ling Shu could naturally see this. They knew that Night Sorrow didn't have any high-level inheritance. If he was a rebel, then he would definitely have one. I don't want to be crude, but regarding inheritances, even if they are ordinary, the people of the celestial realm would treat them as treasures. I can't obtain any and have tried to exchange for it, but it's still not satisfactory. However, for refining and refining weapons, I think the most important thing is to use your heart. After Night Sorrow finished repairing the 8-dragon cauldron, he expressed his opinion. That's a good idea. I suddenly have a feeling that a scum with no talent and no heart is using top-level refining and refining techniques. Isn't this a form of mockery? Elder Ling Shu looked at Gucci and said. Of course it is. However, everyone's life is different. Some people are born high. Their high birth is because of their ancestors' hard work. People with perseverance will obtain it themselves. Night Sorrow, what do you think? Gucci said. I have the same opinion. Therefore, I will work hard. This way, my son and daughter won't lack anything in the future. Night Sorrow finished refining and washed his face. That's the truth. Gucci nodded and said. Bai Chuyuan wanted to catch the dragon language crazily. He couldn't mobilize the people of the Misty Dynasty, so he mobilized people from the Celestial sect to investigate the footprints of the dragon language. The fortune tellers were also constantly divining, but every time they divined, it was all dark. The best time was when they saw the figure of the dragon language, but the surroundings were hazy, so they couldn't determine the location. The dragon language was very cautious. After leaving, he used his innate secret technique to avoid being divined. When the secret technique failed, he used an illusion array disc to control the surroundings and not be seen by others. In a manner in a city under the Celestial sect, Ling Tian was looking at the information brought by Ling Ju. I didn't expect him to come to the Celestial realm and develop so quickly. Ling Tian's expression was ugly because his future was ruined by Night Sorrow. After running to the Celestial realm, Ling Tian went to the Celestial sect to beg for forgiveness. He explained what happened. Because his cultivation was not bad, Ling Daoshu didn't kill him and arranged for him to be a manager in a subordinate city. The 1000 Return Emperor is a 2-star emperor, but he was still captured by him. His strength is terrifying. Ling Ju said. He hated Night Sorrow because Night Sorrow destroyed his cultivation path. Night Sorrow has a weakness. I will go find the sect master and tell him about Night Sorrow's weakness. As long as he can touch the primal chaos realm, then Night Sorrow will compromise. He will give in to any request. Ling Tian said. Then, Ling Tian risked being punished and went to see Ling Daoshu. Although it was very annoying, Ling Daoshu still went to see Ling Tian. Ling Tian told him about Night Sorrow's situation. He's the one who ruined our plans? Damn it, but it's a good thing to know where his nest and foundation are. The passage you used to come back is one way. If he can come to the Celestial realm, then there must be another passage. As long as we can find the passage, then things will be easy. Ling Daoshu saw some ways to deal with Night Sorrow. Then I will go and investigate this matter. Ling Tian took the initiative to ask for permission because he wanted to make a contribution. Up 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 up. Chapter 1709. Ling Daoxiu felt that Night Sorrow was dead for sure because this involved the entire human race. Furthermore, he guessed that the passageway or teleportation circle might be in Xingyue City. The reason why he still needed to investigate was because he had to be cautious. The Chaos Realm was a region that had not been touched by any forces in the Celestial Realm. It was rich in resources, which was very important to the Celestial Sect. Previously, because they had limited manpower in the Chaos Realm, they could only resort to stealing the Chi of Origin. However, if there was a stable passageway or teleportation circle, they could rule for a long time. This was a great opportunity for the Celestial Sect. Night Sorrow was still in the VIP tower, so his freedom was restricted. A month had passed, and Bai Chuyuan's investigation of the dragon language was fruitless. Under such circumstances, he could only give up. Giving up on searching for the dragon language, Gu Qi and the other two returned to Tianhuang City. Lin Piaomiao did not appear. It was Luo Yuandao's farewell banquet. Lin Piaomiao is too arrogant. What's wrong? She doesn't even care about the 100 Races Elder Conference. Bai Chuyuan was unhappy. Our battle emperor has other matters to attend to. She'll be here later. Luo Yuandao said. Alright, let's leave after drinking. Elder Ling Shu said. After the banquet, Gu Qi, Elder Ling Shu, and Bai Chuyuan left with Night Sorrow, heading towards the teleportation circle. When they were about to enter the teleportation circle, Lin Piaomiao appeared. Isn't it a little late to send you off now? Bai Chuyuan said. Elder Bai, you're overthinking. Night Sorrow, I'm here to send you off. Don't worry. Don't worry about Xingyue Lake. I'll be heading to Tianhuang City soon. Lin Piaomiao looked at Night Sorrow and said. Thank you, Battle Emperor. You don't have to worry about Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow clasped his hands towards Lin Piaomiao. There's no need to thank me. I'm not just the ethereal Battle Emperor, I'm also your friend. You can go in peace. The ethereal Battle Emperor took off his veil. Night Sorrow was stunned when he saw the ethereal Battle Empress's exquisite face under the veil. Not only was this the face of a peerless beauty, but it was also because he recognized her. She was Sister Xian, whom he had spent a long time with. Nodding her head at Night Sorrow, Lin Xianer turned around and left. She had come to give Night Sorrow some peace of mind. After entering the transfer array, Night Sorrow followed Gu Qi and the other two and started the transfer. Night Sorrow was very quiet. He could finally let go of the things that he couldn't let go of in his heart. The Misty Battle Empress was Lin Xianer, so the Star Moon Lake was as stable as Mount Tai. After leaving the teleportation circle, Lin Piaomiao went to the City Lord's mansion and called for Tsang Ning. Station a branch of the Tsang Ning army near Star Moon Lake. Kill anyone who dares to touch Star Moon Lake. Lin Piaomiao gave the order. At this moment, Lin Xianer left the Star Moon Mountain Villa. Her destination was also the teleportation circle. She couldn't leave Night Sorrow's matter alone. Gu Qi and the other two brought Night Sorrow through the teleportation circle. After a day, they arrived at a teleportation circle that Night Sorrow couldn't tell the cultivation level of the guard. An Emperor-grade teleportation circle. Night Sorrow could tell that it was an Emperor-grade teleportation circle. After another teleportation circle, the four of them entered Tianhuang City. After exiting the teleportation circle, Night Sorrow was stunned by the aura of Tianhuang City. This was because he had never seen such an environment and aura before. Throw him into jail first. We will report to the Council of Elders. Bai Chuyuan said. Is it appropriate to throw him into jail? Elder Ling Shu glanced at Night Sorrow and asked. If we don't throw him into jail, are we going to treat him like a VIP? If he runs around, what if he finds out about our Tianhuang City? Bai Chuyuan insisted. Seeing that Gu Qi was about to speak, Night Sorrow stretched his body. Thank you, elders. Jail it is. It's fine. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Gu Qi didn't say anything else. Since they were in Tianhuang City, they had to settle things. Even if Night Sorrow was thrown into jail, it wouldn't be a big deal. Bai Qiuyuan led the way. They arrived at an ancient pagoda in the city and went underground. Greetings, elders. Just as they went underground, a man in black armor appeared. Lock this person up and guard him strictly. Don't let anything happen to him. Bai Qiuyuan said. Don't use any tricks. He's a human. There are still some things that haven't been settled yet. For now, we're just keeping him here. Iron Flow, do you understand? Gu Qi said. He was worried that Iron Flow would treat Night Sorrow as a prisoner and punish him. Iron Flow understands. Iron Flow nodded. Gu Qi and the other two left the ancient pagoda. It's late today. Tomorrow, we'll gather everyone for a discussion and see what the disciplinary elders have to say. Elder Ling Shu said. Gu Qi nodded and left. Bai Qiuyuan didn't say anything. Young man, what have you done at such a young age? Why did the three elders send you to jail together? The people locked up in jail are all serious criminals who have committed heinous crimes. Iron Flow said. Are they all guilty of heinous crimes? Seems like I'm quite lucky to receive such treatment. Night Sorrow smiled. Since Elder Gu has instructed, I won't make things difficult for you. I'll give you a comfortable room. Iron Flow sized up Night Sorrow and found it strange. After being sent to the ancient pagoda, none of them were calm. They either felt wronged or cursed angrily. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation $. Thank you. A comfortable cell isn't bad. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Iron Flow. Iron Flow sent Night Sorrow to a cell. The cell was very clean, but there were black locks hanging around it. After locking the door, Iron Flow left. Array cell. After Iron Stream fastened the lock in his hand, runes of an array appeared on the walls and the door of the cell. Energy flowed through them. After sensing it, Night Sorrow knew that he would be injured if he touched it. The array's energy was very strong. Thinking about Night Sorrow, he understood. This was an important place in the human alliance. The people locked up in this cell were all big shots of the enemy camp or the most vicious people of the human race. Those who could reach this level were all experts among experts. Since he was already here, Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine. After taking a sip, he sat down and cultivated. His body had just broken through recently, so he needed to familiarize himself with it and stabilize it. Lin Xian Air was the Misty Battle Empress. Night Sorrow didn't expect Lin Xian Air to be Misty Battle Empress, but it was also something that made him happy. Because everything was stable, he could face everything with ease. He believed that he had not done anything wrong to the human race and that he had a clear conscience, so he was not afraid of anything. He was a virtuous merit pseudo-emperor, so if he was labeled as a traitor, then he had nothing to say. Tianhuang City was quiet at night, so quiet that it was frightening. There were no lights, only lighthouses. Lin Xian Air walked out of the transmission array and walked towards the tallest ancient pagoda. She was worried about Night Sorrow. Chapter 1710. Lin Piaomiao arrived in front of an ancient pagoda and entered after flashing her identity token. She then went to a room in the ancient pagoda. Piaomiao requests to see Granny. Piaomiao is here. How rare. Come in and have a seat. An old lady holding a dragon-headed walking stick appeared. She had a head full of silver hair but her face was rosy without a single wrinkle. Lin Piaomiao carried her golden dress and entered the room in the ancient pagoda. Granny, Piaomiao has something I need your help with. Lin Piaomiao said after entering the room. That's strange. It's been so many years and I've never seen you ask for help. Tell me about it. The white-haired granny said. After Lin Piaomiao sat down, she told the granny about Night Sorrow and Night Sorrow's situation from beginning to end. Night Sorrow. Granny is familiar with this name. I remember now. The Divine Devil Castle sent a message to apply for a Divine Devil Guardian for him. He came from a humble background and reached this level before the age of 200. It's definitely unprecedented, not to mention that he's a virtuous half-emperor. How can he be a traitor of the human race? That's a joke. The white-haired granny said. There are many people nowadays who are more extreme in their actions. It's hard to bear this accusation. Therefore, Piao Miao wishes to see the Grand Elder. Lin Piao Miao said. The elders of the 100 Races Alliance led by the human race had different levels of elders. There were ordinary elders, law enforcement elders, and Grand Elder. Only the law enforcement elders had the qualifications to see the elders. Lin Piao Miao wasn't even an elder, so she didn't have the qualifications and needed a referral. The white-haired granny was one of the law enforcement elders. For the past 1,000,000 years, the law enforcement elder, Xiao Jun, has been on duty. He's more extreme in his actions. When it comes to this matter, he'd rather kill 1,000 innocents than let the culprit go. Therefore, you really need to see the Grand Elder. If the virtuous half-emperor is true, then the Grand Elder can just write a letter and be done with it. Such a young man should be heavily nurtured. How can he harm his own brother? At this moment, in another ancient pagoda, Bai Chuyuan was reporting the situation to a red-robed elder. He also mentioned Lin Piamia's attitude. Elder Enforcer, if we don't deal with this quickly, I'm afraid someone will interfere. It's hard to say if Gu Qi and Spirit Tree will find someone to interfere, but Lin Piamia will definitely find someone to plead for leniency. If someone interferes and we can't deal with it, it will become a hidden danger. It's hard to say if Night Sorrow has any connections with the dragons. Once this bomb explodes, it will be very troublesome. Bai Chuyuan said. First release, if we kill them directly, it will cause unnecessary conflicts and affect stability. How about this? Take him away tomorrow morning and banish him to the outside of Heaven Wasteland. That is not the territory of the human race. Whether he is alive or dead, whether he is a hidden danger or not, it doesn't matter. Banish both his original body and avatar and there won't be any problems in the future. The red-robed elder thought for a moment and said. The red-robed old man was the law enforcement sex elder Xiao Jun who had been on duty for the past 1,000,000 years. I'm afraid that won't work. He was sent to the prison by Gu Qi, Spirit Tree, and Chuyuan. Chuyuan can't get him out himself. Bai Chuyuan said. The prison system in Heaven Wasteland City was very strict. Whoever sent him in could only take him away. Of course, this was unless it was an order from the Elder Enforcer or Grand Elder. Tycoon, bring some people and Elder by with my letter. We will handle this together. Xiao Jun said to the man standing by the side. That was his eldest disciple, Tycoon. Master, don't worry. I will handle this matter well with Elder Bai. Tycoon, who was burly and had a face full of killing intent, bowed and said. Night Sorrow was meditating when the door to the prison opened. Bai Chuyuan and Tycoon appeared in the cell. Iron Flow was also there. Elder Gu isn't here? Night Sorrow stood up and asked. He knew that he had been tricked. Bai Chuyuan had obviously avoided Gu Qi and Spirit Tree who were more protective of him and wanted to do something dirty. Night Sorrow, the Elder Enforcer has sent a letter. This matter will be handled by Elder Bai and Commander Tycoon. Iron Flow said. All right. However, I want to know the outcome. If there is no outcome, I can only stay in this cell and not leave. Night Sorrow knew that the time to decide his fate had come. He didn't even have the chance to prove that he was the merit pseudo-emperor because Bai Chuyuan was too fast and too ruthless. Master has ordered that you will be banished. Tycoon said. Banished. All right. I can accept it. I can banish you however I want. Night Sorrow didn't refute when he heard that he would be banished. If he wasn't killed immediately, it meant that there was still a chance. After exiting the ancient pagoda prison, Night Sorrow realized that the lineup that was going to deal with him was really strong. Among the team led by Bai Chuyuan and Tycoon, there were 2 people whose cultivation levels he couldn't see through. There were also 4 people who were rank 9 monarchs. Take him away. Bai Qiuyuan shouted. At this moment, 2 people whose cultivation levels Night Sorrow couldn't see through walked towards Night Sorrow. There's no need to take him away. I'll walk on my own. Night Sorrow smiled. Then, under Bai Qiuyuan and Tycoon's lead, the team flew west. An hour later, they arrived at the western city wall of Tianhuang City. Bai Qiuyuan made a few hand gestures, and the array formation that was circulating on the city wall paused for a moment. Night Sorrow, the opposite is Heaven Wasteland. There are all kinds of races with heaven-defying talents, and they are all opponents of the human race. There is also the natural enemy of the human race, the Demon Wing Clan. The Demon Wing Clan is very powerful, and they have the habit of hunting and eating the human race. Moreover, each of them is very powerful. Whether you can survive or not will depend on your luck. Also, let me tell you, you have to run quickly. This bridge is only safe for an hour. Later, the silent black wind, which is similar to the divine wind of destruction in the trial of wind and fire, will appear. After saying that, Bai Qiuyuan waved his right hand and an energy vortex appeared. It enveloped Night Sorrow and threw him out of the crack in the city wall's array formation. Night Sorrow's expression changed. Bai Qiuyuan was too ruthless. How was this banishment? This was murder. Furthermore, he was using a borrowed knife to kill. He was using the natural enemy of the human race to eliminate Night Sorrow. After throwing Night Sorrow out, Bai Qiuyuan activated the defensive array formation on the city wall. After landing, Night Sorrow looked at the majestic modeled city wall. He knew that Bai Qiuyuan wasn't lying. The marks on the city wall were filled with the aura of destruction. Once the Nirvana black wind appeared, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. Since the city wall was covered in such marks, it meant that the Nirvana black wind had a large area of effect. It was different from the divine wind of destruction, which only attacked a single area. Left with no choice, Night Sorrow turned around and used his space-time domain to fly at his fastest speed. He had to fly out of Tianhuang City's bridge as soon as possible. If he was too slow, he would be in trouble when the astral winds arrived. He didn't want to die yet. He still had to seek justice for himself. This is fate. Nothing good will come to those who offend Elder Bai. Tycoon glanced at Bai Qiuyuan before turning to leave. His eyes were filled with disdain as he despised Bai Qiuyuan's actions. Chapter 17:11. Night Sorrow used his fastest speed to rush forward. The bridge over the sea was very long. Night Sorrow flew for hundreds of thousands of miles before he left the sea and reached the land. When Night Sorrow reached the land, the astral winds behind him started to blow. It was incomparably strong. He couldn't go back. The astral winds were too strong. Night Sorrow knew that he couldn't go back this time. Perhaps he could wait until tomorrow and return to Heaven Desolate City during the astral winds cycle. However, if he couldn't go in, he wouldn't have enough time to run back. He didn't know that this sea region was the natural barrier between the human race and the demon-winged race. It was called the Nirvana Ocean. One couldn't fly over it. If he rashly entered the ocean, he would enter the Nirvana Samsara. Not to mention whether he could go back or not, Night Sorrow had to survive first. At this time, the Nirvana black wind swept towards the shore. Night Sorrow got up and ran. If he didn't run, he would be easily swept away by the Nirvana black wind. After flying for hundreds of thousands of miles, Night Sorrow reached the safe zone. Although it was called a safe zone, it was actually an area where the Nirvana black wind couldn't invade. Unknown dangers were everywhere. Night Sorrow knew that he was in the enemy camp. If he encountered the demon-winged race, he would be really unlucky. Night Sorrow didn't move. After the Haotian godly pagoda smashed into the ground, he entered. He needed information now. He needed information about Heaven Desolate. Without information, running around in the dark would be suicide. Although his original body and avatar were exiled, Night Sorrow still had a way because he still had an avatar in the Heaven Sealing Hall. Night Sorrow's avatar came out of the Heaven Sealing Hall and found 9 Region City Lord's mansion. He asked Tai Shu Yen to inform Datura to come and see him. No one in the Primal Chaos domain would delay Night Sorrow's matter. They would deal with it immediately. Soon, Datura arrived at the Heaven Sealing Hall. Night Sorrow, what's the situation? Datura asked. Night Sorrow said to Datura, I was tricked. They didn't give me a fair trial and dealt with me privately. Go find Sister Xian Er and tell her that I want information about Tian Huang. If you don't see her, go find Song Ning and tell him that you want information about Ethereal Combat Emperor. Wait for me. Datura stood up and left. She did not ask Night Sorrow if the Ethereal Battle Emperor would give it to her. Now that Night Sorrow was in danger, she had to hurry. Returning to the Yeyue villa, Mandela indeed did not see Lin Xian Er. At this moment, Lin Xian did not exist. Lin Piaomiao's original body had left the Misty Dynasty, which meant that her clone was in charge of the Misty Dynasty. Lin Xian had temporarily disappeared. Hearing Datura's intention, Tsang Ning brought Datura to the glazed pagoda in the City Lord's mansion. She knew that the Ethereal Combat Emperor and Lin Xian Er were the same person. Lin Piaomiao would definitely help Night Sorrow. When Tsang Ning and Lin Xian Er arrived, the door of the glazed pagoda opened. Lin Piaomiao was waiting for them inside. After hearing Datura's words, Lin Piaomiao directly punched the outside of the pagoda. A stone mountain at the door of the pagoda directly collapsed. Since you're messing around, then I won't care so much. This is a letter about Heaven Desolate City and Heaven Desolate. Take it. Luckily, Night Sorrow still has a clone at home and can be contacted. This is my token. If you need anything, you don't have to report to me. Lin Piaomiao threw a token to Mandela. At this moment, Lin Piaomiao, who was drinking tea with the white-haired old woman in the Heavenly Desolation City, crushed the teacup in her hand. What's wrong? The white-haired old woman looked at Lin Piaomiao and frowned. Granny, they did not give Night Sorrow a chance to explain or prove himself. They directly banished Night Sorrow to Heavenly Desolation. Lin Piaomiao stood up. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, damn it. Is there a need to be so anxious? What is Xiao Jun trying to do? The white-haired old woman stood up and knocked her walking stick on the ground. Night Sorrow was the virtuous merit half-emperor. This matter was too serious. By Qiuyuan, I, Lin Piaomiao, will definitely kill him. Killing intent appeared on Lin Piaomiao's face. Calm down. Granny, inform the other law enforcement elders to find Xiao Jun for an explanation. Also, we need to see how to deal with this matter. The white-haired old woman closed her eyes for a while and stood up. Just now, she had informed the other law enforcement elders through soul transmission. The white-haired old woman's name was Qin Xinjia. She was once very famous. However, as time passed, her name did not spread to the world. Xiao Jun also received the news. Seems like this matter is quite serious. Tycoon, call by Qiuyuan to the conference hall. Soon, many people gathered in the conference hall of the Central High Tower. Sect Elder Xiao, regarding Night Sorrow's matter, don't you think you handled it inappropriately? Qin Xinjia, who was sitting on a silver chair, spoke. There were 7 silver chairs and 2 golden chairs in the conference hall. The 7 silver chairs were for the law enforcement elders. The 2 golden chairs were for the Grand Elder and the City Lord. However, the City Lord's seat had always been empty. How is it inappropriate? Since it's a hidden danger, it should be completely eliminated. There's nothing wrong with banishing him, Xiao Jun said. Have you investigated it? Have you found out about the young man's situation? Qin Xinjia asked. The other law enforcement elders were waiting for Xiao Jun's answer. This is the result of the investigation of the three elders. How could it be wrong? Xiao Jun said. Then let's wait for the three elders to arrive and see what they have to say. Inform them, one of the law enforcement elders said. Moments later, Gu Qi, Ling Shu, and Bai Chuyuan arrived. Elder Bai, tell us about Night Sorrow's situation, Xiao Jun said. Seeing so many elders and law enforcement elders present, Bai Chuyuan was stunned. Then, he explained the situation, mainly emphasizing Night Sorrow's unyielding character. Elder Gu, what do you think? Qin Xinjie looked at Gu Qi. That young man should be fine. His eyes are pure and he looks handsome. He doesn't look like a traitor. Therefore, I suggest that the sect elders carefully judge him. He's a good seedling. He's a martial emperor cultivator who's less than 200 years old. He has the strength to fight above his level and capture a 2-star martial emperor. He's worth nurturing, Gu Qi said. Nurture? Last night, we banished him to Tianhuang region without a trial. Are we trying to destroy our own cultivation and destroy our own empire? Qin Xinjie slammed his walking stick on the ground. What? Last night, Elder Ling Shu, Elder Bai, and I sent Night Sorrow to his cell. Today, we have to report it to the law enforcement elders. How could he be banished? Gu Qi was stunned. He was the current law enforcement elder of the human race. When there was a trial, he should be present. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.